Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous Tuesday where Stephen and I have nothing better to do. Just kidding. So the reason I say that is I'm joking a little bit. We're waiting on a pretty big announcement next Tuesday. It's funny because Legend Story in the last band restricted, I think is what they call it, announcement. At the bottom, one line says April 5th.
It's impossible to find that information.
I know. It's like you just have to know, you know?
It's like if there was a page that said band restricted announcement, this date, that would be...
Now, at some point, they'll do a thing where there's a block that goes on their page.
Yeah.
That's black and white, and it says, coming soon.
Or if there was a page with notable announcements or notable events, and it had the Calling X this date, the Pro Tour number 1 this date. Because I can't keep up.
That would be helpful.
And it's kind of my job.
Yeah. I do we'll see if the format sticks, but I like that they're now labeling the seasons. So it was it's Pro Tour number 1.
Yeah.
I think they called this upcoming ProQuest season ProQuest 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's you can reference it.
Your temporal assessment.
Back in ProQuest 5, this is what was going on. You can talk about it.
Could you even believe what was happening in ProQuest 5?
Yeah.
So you know what's going on today? Zach's got some juicy something to talk about. I don't even know what that is, but we're gonna get into that. And we're also gonna talk about the dark horse approach, because for some people it's very confusing. Why anybody would just be let's play something that's not as good as other things. I'll explain some reasons for doing that. Zach also has some reasons for doing that because you're also guilty of it. I know you like playing to win, but you also like a little spice. You
Absolutely.
a little dark horse nature in there, which I think is fun. So we can talk about that, and then we're just gonna look at so if you want to play a less popular hero, you don't want to play one of the main 2 or 3 usually heroes that are up there. How do you approach that problem? Right? What do you look for in the other heroes? How do you kind of figure out how to squeeze value out of these heroes? Because if you're going to run a dark horse, here's a couple of things that you need to be aware of. You're not going to win unless it's a miracle. I mean, it would be a genuine miracle unless you find the one dark horse that nobody has ever imagined, which is also extreme. It's as unlikely as winning.
But when it happens...
If it were to happen, what a genius kind of thing.
Woo, give me a Ric Flair,
But there's people playing this game so much, taking this game very seriously. If you're like me and you're looking at the card pool and trying to figure out what to do, people have probably already had ideas or tried certain things and moved on. But what you're here to do is say, yeah, not so fast. I know that you thought this wasn't very good or maybe not good enough, but if I squeeze as much value out of it as I can, and if I get a little lucky, and if I surprise my opponents who are taking me for granted, then I may well get to the top 8. It may happen. I may get to day 2. I mean, day 2 is kind of the goal. If you're in a big event, you get to day 2.
So I think
everyone's surprised. Azalea day 2.
The framing is really important here. A skirmish season is going on right now. A ProQuest season is starting, apparently the same weekend as the Pro Tour, and it's classic constructed. So, and I did this exact thing. I talked about it last week. Going into the last weekend of ProQuest, I played Briar on Saturday and then Viscera on Sunday, and in a 60-person event, 65-person event, I think the not that Briar and Viscera, they're mid-class dark horse. They're just not the most popular, but they're still really good. They beat all the normal stuff. But I think you can get away with a lot more in more local / regional events.
For sure.
You can actually win tournaments with dark horses.
ProQuest is a good example of that. Yeah.
But when you get to an event like a Calling or a Pro Tour, it's such a long event. Dark horses typically are a little disadvantaged, so you need luck. And or just the right pairings.
The right matchups.
Yeah. Which gets harder the more rounds there are.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because one of the approaches that we'll get into for dark horse building is just attacking one deck exclusively.
Yeah.
And just being okay, if I get paired with nothing but Prism today, I'm going to do a great job. If Starvo is going to smoke me, Runeblades are going to smoke me. But if I don't get paired with them, I can weave a path up to the...
sometimes the dark horse is really good into the best deck.
Yeah.
But really bad in the second best deck.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And it's if I just get paired against the best decks and not the thing that beats it, they won't expect it. And part of how you can win as a dark horse is that people aren't practiced against it. People that Lexi's a really good example of this to me. Mm-hmm. I think half of people's losses to Lexi are strictly because they don't play against Ranger.
I agree.
Like half the time,
they don't understand shock charmers. Yeah. They don't know what Chilling Ice Fiend does. They don't know they can pitch a blue. There's all sorts of reasons you lose to Ranger.
And it's a lot of it is just because the blowout plays don't look like blowout plays until they happen to you, and you're like, huh, that was a bad.
Guess I should have just blocked.
Yeah, almost always the answer against Ranger. Yeah, if you can,
just block until they stop working, and then I'll win.
Block. So you're gonna be cooking up a deck, and I'm just gonna. So the reason I said we had nothing better to do. Next Tuesday is the announcement. And then there's a 5-week period after that leading to the Pro Tour, number 1. And until the announcement happens, there's a lot of speculation. We talked about it a lot last week. Something may or may not happen to Starvo, kind of public enemy number 1. If it does, it kind of fundamentally changes the meta. And the way I've been testing in my morning crew and my weekend crew is assuming... What? Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a second.
What?
Is... Assuming
you have distinct crews for this?
Well, it's the same crew. I'm just saying, like, when I'm not on stream.
I just stare at my phone and try to make Warriors Valor better.
The way try to think about it, make it better, in my brain. The way we are approaching it effectively is either something's going to happen to start the show, or start the show is going to Living Legend out in the near future. We have a Pro Tour and a call-in and a Battle Hardened on the same weekend. We have a Pro Quest season. So even if they did nothing, the expectation is by the time we get to like June, the game's going to be without Star of the Show.
Yeah.
one way
or the other. Yeah.
So you can get those reps. As an example, if they touch Star of the Show and they leave Visceray the same, this is why like you're testing your decks. It's good to go ahead and start. Like you need to be able to play against Visceray anyway.
Yeah.
But if Star of the Show is gone, then spending time like today trying to practice against that match is not as relevant.
Yeah, not as relevant. So we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But maybe next week we'll have to, and I don't know when that announcement is going to get posted.
That's the biggest thing.
It could be that we're just sitting here like, oh, well, we still don't know, so we're just going to have some conversations. Or it could be that it gets announced while we're on stream, or it could be announced well before we. So we'll see what we get into next week.
A couple things. Someone in the chat was asking where this playmat came from. It's in-house. Jonathan, our lead designer, designed it. And it's possible we'll make it available at some point, but...
keep asking.
There's a lot of things in between now and that moment happening for various technical reasons that we're working out, I think.
Yeah, mainly just placing an order and then selling it.
Well, I thought there was like a web platform switch. Wait till that moment happens. I don't know.
For the playmat?
Yeah.
No, we can sell the playmat whenever. Yeah. I'm not sure that we should be selling a playmat we're using for official purposes.
I think
but we could make it a little different.
It's like, yeah, totally.
It's like,
this is the official one, and there's like the close, but not quite.
Yeah, but not quite.
But I feel like
that's... with the giant logo right here.
Sure.
And it'll say Covenant on all 4 axes.
Really big.
Real big.
In fact, you know what you could do?
And see these be faces.
See these circles on the edge here? You could actually put the entire design about that size, and then just have a giant logo. That way you can get a feel for it.
A giant word mark across there.
Just gigantic.
That's what people want, for sure. Tell me about this drama, man. Okay. Now I'm really curious.
Here's the drama.
First of all, sorry, we're just about to get into the drama, but there's some good comments coming in. The Foundry of Flesh and Blood TCG podcast, apparently. As a former Alpha VAR player, we used to take what faction we liked best, no matter the odds. And that is a big part of the Dark Horse mentality. I'm the same way. Some players are married to a specific hero and may take that approach. That is true. So if you love a hero, this is a good stream for you. Because it's going to be about how can you just squeeze. It's about squeezing, Zach. If you play a good deck, you don't really have to squeeze much. The deck kind of is. It's like it's already got WD-40. It's been ready to go, and you just kind of have to slide it down the hallway. But when you're on the this is my favorite hero, but it's not necessarily great. You got to squeeze. You got to hold on for dear life, and you've got to let every point of damage be earned, and you got to make nothing but great decisions. And that's the appeal, I think.
that level of pressure. Listic coming in with the big brain idea here. You could also just put a big old Covenant QR code right in the center of that mat. I love it.
Caleb asking, have you seen the new Bard hero? Yes. Great. That'll be fun for some folks. I think it'd be fun in the off season or in the after tournament hours.
Yeah, I mean, so not to beat a dead horse, and it is very dead. We beat this horse a lot, but that is explicitly a casual you can't play that in tournaments. There's no way. Like that, there's a 0% chance we'll see. Maybe it just makes me even less likely to play at a Blitz event ever. But theme, fun, I get it. It's cool. First Bard hero, that's also cool. But like, why not both is always my question.
I'd be more excited about a real playable Bard.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's nice.
You could create a hero that is, the ability could slant multiplayer or whatever, but like not playable in Classic Constructed. This doesn't even seem playable in Blitz. Like this is just playable in like multiplayer.
It's like that Go Bananas card.
Yeah.
And Silver Palms.
It looks great, by the way.
Looks great.
I love the cold foil double-sided heroes.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I just like the cards that I can actually like play in an official thing.
Oh, apparently Ultimate Pit Fight legal only on the site.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I will say, we're going to have James on the podcast soon.
But wait a minute. Doesn't the person bringing the Bard defeat the whole purpose of anyone building an Ultimate Pit Fight deck? It's like, hey, I've got an idea. I want to build a multiplayer deck that I can play. And then the Bard sits down and it's like, oh, I guess I'm just going to play random cards instead.
We're all going to play random cards.
Yeah, cool. Like, that doesn't seem fun either, just to me. But I'm an old curmudgeon now. I'm 35.
I just want my deck to do what it's designed
That's
to do.
right. It's like the City of Archives man in Arkham. It's like, I built this whole deck and you're turning me into an alien. I didn't sign up to play a 4-deck smash up. Yeah. I signed up to have an idea and see if it worked.
And can you imagine, to picture this, just go on a journey with me here for a second. Either we all use different sleeves, which is going to be its own thing, or even better, if we all use the same sleeves. It's like, well, after it's done, it's like...
There's a lot of practical...
It's like, you know, when you're a kid, it's like, hey, Steven, you want to play 52-card pickup? It's like, what's that? You're like, go pick up the cards. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. It moves me in 0 degrees.
Here's
I
what
really
it does.
could not care less about that card.
Looks cool. It goes into my collection. It'll sit there for a long time, and it'll remind me of the Pro Tour #1 that I went and won. Right, it'll sit right next to whatever the Pro Tour champion card I get is at the same event.
You got it.
And we're off to the races. All right, so I'm gonna weave your tail real quick.
Oof.
Then we're gonna get into it.
Okay.
So, I don't even know where to start this catastrophe.
Start at the beginning.
Well,
the very beginning.
May 25th, 1988.
Chapter 1. I am born.
I am born. But really though. So we went to Vegas last year, calling. If you recall, at that event. Well, actually, let's rewind it back.
Keep going. Yeah, okay. Because I honestly, I have no idea what you're about to.
I know, and
this isn't going to get us like kicked off the air or anything, is it?
Well, I don't think it's possible.
Well,
right?
I'd be surprised.
I just started going insane. Well, where it really started is actually I think July or August at Edmund Unplugged.
Okay.
All right. Round 3 or 4.
Sure.
I get paired against some guy named Brendan, who you reference a lot.
Oh, Brendan Patrick.
Yeah. And then I proceed to just wipe the floor with him.
Just dunked on him.
Not really. It was a close game. But I would later find out he never lost with chain into Old Bravo. And that was apparently a notable
You were the first.
thing.
You were like, what was that? Sean such and such who suplexes...
Sean White?
Was it Sean White?
No, Sean...
He came out with like the American flag and then he suplexed...
Oh.
He'd come down in the helicopter.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, so we're into wrestling. I was into the Olympics.
That big sumo wrestler kind of guy.
Is that the video
Shawn Michaels? Yeah, and then he comes out and everyone's been trying to suplex him the whole time and they can't do it. That's where Brendan is sitting there on chain, unbeatable. Yeah. And then you come out with the American flag and the cowboy hat, of course.
That's right, definitely the cowboy.
Down in the helicopter and you march out there because it's Hawaii. Yeah. And you do it and the crowd goes crazy.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
That's as I remember it was about like that.
That is about how it looked. But yeah, he was on a tear. He won a couple of Road to Nationals at the time, and this is like early. One of my first couple of
people saying Lex Luger. It wasn't Lex. It wasn't Lex.
He was in the video.
It wasn't Lex.
Anyways, so beat Brendan there. Brendan actually ends up knocking Tim out of the top 8. Tim was the 1 seed. He went 6-0 in Swiss.
6-0.
Yeah, and then lost to Brendan. Brendan squeaked in at top 8.
And then he got there.
Yeah, and then he actually won the event.
Yeah.
Then we went to Vegas, which was a calling, credible event. Which that is when insert the next character in the story. We meet. I guess you meet Brendan probably there.
Where?
At Vegas?
Yes, for the first time, yeah.
But then we also get introduced to Dante
Del Frisco.
Previously Del Fico, now Del Frisco. So, yeah, I think it was Yokozuna. Is that right?
Dude, I always think this.
I don't know.
It was a different guy.
I know we pulled that video up on a stream once.
Yes, and we got it taken down.
Then the video got taken down.
Those are the early stream days. We just watched like a WrestleMania thing.
I had it, the HDMI plugged into my computer, and we just pulled that video straight up. No idea what was happening.
You can't do that.
Yeah. So anyways, we meet Dante. That was when after the event we were doing practicing Sealed Monarch, because we both didn't end up making day 2 in the calling. And that's when he was like, I think it was Brendan or Dante, and he was like, I knew that was coming, because I was watching what you were pitching. And then he's like, and I was pitch stacking. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like,
what's a pitch stack?
Yeah, and he was like, I was like memorizing the cards I was putting on the bottom of my deck, so that when I started drawing those hands, I knew exactly what was happening. And I was just like, what?
You can do that?
Yeah. So that was a revelatory moment. But not long after that, at some point, I actually started testing with them. So we had a server, and it was, Hayden and Brendan and Dante and Dan. And then for some reason, they invited me to the shenanigans.
Well, it's because you beat.
That's right. Brendan actually came down to Sealed Saturday, if you remember.
I do.
So then we played for our second time in a tournament in the finals of that event, and I won that one.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I remember that.
Let the smack build for a minute.
I remember that. Yeah.
So I started testing with them on Discord, and that was tremendous. So we had like a daily session in the morning. We'd play 2 or 3 games. Before the games, we'd talk about like, here's what we're trying to learn today. We go play our games. We report back. We document all the games, and it's like, is fatigue a viable strategy with this hero to this hero, or like
a real scientific approach?
Yeah. Or as an example, it's like, hey, 3 red unmovable and Eviscerate in to start the show. Like, is it worth it or not? Because some games, you see the unmovables at the right time, and you're like, this game would have been out of hand if I hadn't had this card. Yeah. Other games, you don't see it until the end, when it's like, I got him down to 4. I need any hand to just pressure, and it's like 2 red unmovable come into hand.
Mm-hmm.
Devastating.
Okay. So it can work if it's in the right time.
Yeah. So fast forward. At some point,
so run the numbers,
because we're I think we were odd, and so then I was like, hey, like my brother Tim would like he's available and would be willing to do this thing. So Tim gets involved, and then Orlando happens. Snap up that PTI with the Pro Quest. That's all good and well.
The old fashioned Pro. That's a Battle Hardened, technically.
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Pro Quest. Now Battle Hardened.
Proper Battle Hardened. Yeah.
And that's all fine and well. But then for the people in North America, the season's kind of over. Nationals is over. All the callings are over. We know a new set's coming in February. But for Hayden and Dan, they still have the Australian and New Zealand national championships.
Mm-hmm.
So still kind of testing, but obviously the energy level is just a little different.
Yeah.
Because only 2 of the group are even in the thing.
And I mean, it's as if Hayden needs to practice at all.
Yeah, he's really good.
He just came out of the womb playing Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, so unfortunately, him and Dan are on kind of a similar time zone. So they play a lot. They both needed to play. So it was very natural, that kind of thing. And anyways, still getting games in and stuff. But Everfest comes out. Actually, Hayden won the national championship.
Yes, he did. He won a couple of them, didn't he? He won everything.
He won a national championship, and then he won a couple Pro Quests like the first weekend they were happening. It's like, we get it. We calm down. We get it.
He's good.
Yeah, we get it. But a couple things happened. Time zones shifted back in, when does it fall back? Like November?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently,
is that right?
Like New Zealand or Australia or something doesn't do it.
So then, most of the world shouldn't.
The times that we overlap to test in the morning are like in the late evening for them. And so it was like pretty rough because they would have to be on till like 2 or 3 in the morning to test with us. So after Everfest came out, we split, right? So Dan and Hayden are kind of on the same time zone. They're doing their thing. And then me, Tim, and Dante are all kind of on the same time zone. Brendan also, his whole life changed. So he started testing at night by himself. So he enlisted a whole...
By himself?
I mean, it's like he's the only one that is available in the evening consistently.
So he's pulling in the live streams with Tarek and all this kind of stuff. I mean, he's wilding out.
He's running wild with who he's testing with. And that was way less productive as like a testing method.
Right.
As you might imagine. Because it's split. You don't have the daily conversations. It's just a little crazier.
And then you reached out to Hayden, I assume, and said like, hey, can we just cut Brendan out of this thing?
Actually, you know what? I reached out to Hayden. We'll build the story. I reached out to Hayden about a month ago because I hadn't been playing with Dan or Hayden, and I was like, hey, look, we need to have some amount of crossover. So like, either you need to stay up later, or I need to get on earlier, because like, there just needs to be more of that. We need to figure that out. It's like not functioning like it should be.
Man, at a certain point, you're going to start sleeping with your eyes open. I mean, you go to bed at midnight playing Flesh and Blood and wake up at 6 having played 6 games.
It's also like, I think they're like 5 or 6 hours behind us. So it's like Saturday at 2 p.m. my time might actually work, because it would be like 10 a.m. on Sunday for his time or something. Yeah. There's like some amount of like a weekly time or whatever where we can all either get together or whatever. And that didn't happen. But the main thing that happens next is we go to Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. And, I won't get into other people's drama or business too much, but
do go on, please.
But some of the people...
our most viewed stream ever.
Some of the people that Brendan was testing with in the evening show up to Indy on decks they have not been talking about. Like...
Oh, Dark Horse decks.
But like, just like, like...
What kind of Dark Horses are we talking about? What are you talking about? Are you talking about like super tweaked behind the scenes like chain decks? Or are we talking about like, oh, it came in with Dash?
Imagine if it wasn't that crazy, but it was like, oh, we think Prism is, rough for Start of the Show. But maybe you found a way to play Start of the Show that it doesn't feel so rough into old Prism.
So it was a secret society within a secret society.
And, anyways, yeah. So
you can't do that. It's either all or nothing.
It's this whole thing. Yeah. Justin, betrayal. And I get that. That's a thing. But, we're in Indy. We're staying in the same Airbnb. And it's like, I'm in my mind this whole time, it's like ProQuest season, whatever. But like leading into the Pro Tour, that's the big.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm not looking to stay up till 2 a.m. or wake up at 4 a.m. all year round. But like 5 weeks leading up to the Pro Tour, this is the time.
Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Zach Bunn as sport fab player.
Yeah, and I said a couple the end of the ProQuest series that we did. Mm-hmm. The thing I said was, I don't know what I'm going to be playing. I still have to make a decision where if I'm willing to cross that line or not to just play what I think is the best and lose my soul.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that in a second. But the thing I said was, at the Pro Tour number 1, regardless of what I'm playing, I'm going to be playing my best fab. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to be at the peak level. This next,
set the intention.
This next 5 to 7 weeks, it's like
drinking eggs.
I'm going to do what I need to do to be at my highest level, regardless of what I'm playing. Mm-hmm. Last week on the podcast, we went into it. We haven't posted it yet, but it's the upcoming podcast.
Yeah,
I talk about that balance for me, because we're talking about the difference between how do we even frame it? Sport or game?
Yeah, sport versus like basically in the sense of playing a game in an organized fashion. It can go all the way up to like sport level, all the way down to like just gathering with a few friends to have a good time.
So since then, other things have happened that have pushed me into new, here's where I'm at with my decision making.
Okay.
So
the betrayal came from inside the house. There were people.
It's ruthless. It's ruthless. There's a fire, I'm telling you.
So when did you find that out in Indy? And how many people are we talking about? Are we talking about Del Frisco and Tim, or are we talking about...
No. Okay, I haven't gotten to the betrayal.
Okay.
So there's the stuff that happened in Indy, which I think is unsettling for particularly Brendan. But obviously the things aren't functioning like they need to. But in my mind, it's like we're about to be going to the Pro Tour. Mm-hmm. It's time. All right, we have arrived back at the time. It's time to go.
So now, hold on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Before you get to the thrilling climax of this story. Now, has this group of wandering fab players officially said, "Hey, we're going to be a team. We're going to share all of this. Here are the bylines, the guidelines.
What are the rules
of our teamship? Here's the name of our team." Because remember, our original team, Team Covenant, we named a business after it.
Here we are.
So it's an important decision. So do you have an actual team? You're training together. It's in writing. There's a contract. Are you going to split the winnings?
No splitting of winnings. For sure. That gold hat is mine.
What winnings?
Yeah, what are you talking about? So there's essentially the inner group, right? Which is the people I was talking about, right? Leading into the Orlando. It's the Dan, Hayden, Zach, Tim, Dante,
And then Brendan and an assorted cast that he has brought into the fold.
And like it's not actually in the fold. It's like these are people I'm playing games with, and they don't have our spreadsheet, they don't have our data, but like I'm just getting games against these people that are good players.
And they're really good. Tarek's great. I've seen Brendan play
really good. I mean, he's playing as Matt Folks, which is the UK national champion.
Yeah.
So it's Rob, who's one of the top, I think, 10 or 15 ranked players.
Rob may be the one person I would always want to sit down and hang out with for 2 hours at any kind of public venue.
Yeah, you gotta love Rob.
I mean, it's like it's just an added benefit. He can play Fab at all.
Yeah. So up until this point, that is it's not necessarily like written in an agreement or a statement, but it's like, in my mind, you know me.
There is an implicit trust.
I'm what you would call a ride or die kind of guy. I'm very loyal, intensely, to a fault maybe. Yeah. But also, once you cross that line,
you're cut loose.
Let's go to another flashback. In college, right? This is real. In college, one of my best friends, his name was Drew, right? And Drew and I got along swimmingly, but he started getting me and my friend John, who I'm still friends with to this day. We just saw these signs, like he was starting to get really kind of weird.
Yeah.
He was acting weird about a lot of different stuff. And it's really silly. There's this game we played. You had what you call a brother-sister wing. So it's like there's the towers of the dorms, just different ones. But the matching towers, the same floor. It's like, we're 7, you're 7. This is the brother-sister wing. And they do social events together.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's a classic. Yeah. You go to Mixer.
Yeah. So one thing that we were playing it's like called Ninjas or something.
Okay.
Which is basically like...
You throw stuff at each other?
No, you get someone else's name.
You got to assassinate them.
You got to assassinate them. You got to mark them with a marker.
Been there,
But they're safe as long as they like are arm in arm with someone of the opposite sex. And the goal is to like get this brother-sister ring to like really interact and know each other's names and all that kind of stuff. It's a game. Yeah. I take games seriously. I like to win. I like to win fair, right? Yeah. And so I remember after we got our initial names and we're going back to the rooms, I'm talking to John. I'm like, I bet money that eventually Drew in this game betrays us for like lady friends. He was very interested in the ladies. And John was like, oh, yeah, I could see that. So the game comes down to me as a months. Yeah. And like months of time. It's crazy. The amount of just ludicrous.
You want a lot of locking arms.
Yeah. And I was in an unhealthy relationship at the time.
He would later find out.
I dealt with a lot of conversations about the fact that I was arm in arm with some other girl, you know? But I was like, hey, I'm gonna win. I gotta win the game.
I'm trying to not get assassinated here.
Yeah, right. So it came down to me and a different, a young lady.
Yeah.
Jessica's her name, by the way.
Yeah.
And essentially, months in, it comes down to it, and I'm at an event, a private event. There's only 2 people that know where I'm going and when I'm going. John, my friend, and Drew. I'm at this event. I think I'm safe. I get assassinated. I ask her, hey, how'd you know where I was? Via Facebook, which was very new at the time.
Yeah.
And then she says, oh, Drew told me.
Oh, there it is.
So then, very casually, I walk into Drew's room and I'm like, hey, how do you know where I was? And he's like, or I was like, do you have any idea how she knows? And he's like, man, I have no idea.
Oh, no. Caught in the lie.
And then he's
web.
He's like, maybe it was John. I talked to Drew one more time in my entire life. It's over. There's no coming back from that, right? There's just no, you have breached the trust.
You know, Dante's lowest circle of hell is for betrayers. Judas, Brutus.
It's a silly little game, but it showed so much, right?
Yeah, you gotta take that seriously. Yeah.
All right, back to the main story here.
Okay.
Ride or die, right? This is the group. This is the crew. We've been testing. We're about to go into this Pro Tour, followed by Pro Tour, followed by World Championship.
I love this.
This is the time.
Yeah.
So then the message happens. It's like from Brendan, hey, crew, because it's been me, Dante, Tim, and Ian. We added Ian, by the way, friend of the show, Ian Schaefer.
Ian's in, yeah.
We added Ian because the crew that could meet at the same time was me, Dante, and Tim. So we're odd. And it was like, we need someone because someone's just sitting here watching. It'd be way better if we had another person playing.
Right.
So we had Ian. Everyone loves Ian. But anyways, Brendan posts. He's like, hey, I'd like to talk with the 4 of you. Like, will you be on tomorrow at 9 a.m. when you know on a Saturday or something. It's like, yeah, we're all good. So we're there. He doesn't show up. Okay, fine.
Okay. Busy.
So then Tim and I, hanging out Sunday morning, Sunday, playing a game.
This Sunday. This is fresh.
This Sunday. Oof. Playing a game, and we're in the
I'm kind of scared of what the conclusion of all this is.
Assume something's going to happen to Starvo. I was telling you, right? So we're testing everything else for either after he's gone or the other matches we need to test in the case he's still around, but then we can just focus on him once that happens. Okay, great. So we're playing, and
you focus on like Prism and Ruined Blades, and
all the Ruined Blade mirror matches and how that works. So then, towards the end of the game, Brendan hops on, and he's just sitting there watching. Like that's not abnormal, right?
Yeah.
Then we're about to finish the game. He's like, "Hey, after this game, can we talk?" Like,
oh my God, what are you guys? This is like breakup talk. Come on.
Man, it was a bad breakup.
Oh,
he wasn't even good at it.
Oh no.
All right, so
just rip the Band-Aid off.
Here it is,
Brendan.
Right. Effectively,
I have a new team.
And it makes sense. It's like, these guys are testing in the morning, I'm testing at night, you guys are testing together in the morning. Like, this is just not congruent. And that's exactly what happens, which is, you know what? Me and Hayden and Dan just want to be honest with you. We're going to be joining another team, so we're not going to be able to be fully transparent with you guys.
You're not good enough.
Which is basically saying you're not good enough. Which, you know what? It's interesting for a few reasons. One,
dude, this is like wrestling history.
That's what I'm saying.
We gotta set up a match or something. We've got to hype this up. I mean, so in a month, if we have the two of you fighting it out on stream for your pride, it would sell tickets. I could sell tickets to this.
So let me tell you this.
You're out in the cowboy hat. Brendan's dyed his hair again, some color.
So it would check out. It's like we don't line up on our times, right? So and there's one.
Yeah. It's not you. It's me.
Sin number one. You could have been. You could have been like, hey, let's have a conversation. This isn't working. We need to fix this.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right? No, not even conversation. Conversations have obviously happened. Decision has been made.
Decision has been made.
This is what's
I've already made up my mind.
Yeah, and this seemingly decision, now that I'm looking back, this decision was already being contemplated when we were in Indiana, hanging out. It's not even like conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, loyalty's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. So now we have a true rivalry in the scene.
So
it's incredible.
All this to say, not going to the ins and outs and all that, but a new team is formed. Of course.
What's their team name? They have one?
Right now, we're the Wolfpack. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. And let me tell you this, I'm super excited about the team. Steven loves it.
This is a marketing dream.
It's happening. I'm very excited.
So it's like Brendan and all the great, well-performing players, like Hayden and Dan, probably Tarek and Rob.
So I think Tarek's on his own tear. Tarek and Rob are on a team.
Tarek and Rob do their own thing.
They're doing their own thing. Yeah. I
so
think
this is just Hayden, Dan, Brendan, the original.
And there's a couple other people.
Like kind of the New Zealandy, Australia.
If I had to guess, based on what I know from personal history, it'll be people that have performed well recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
The new hotness, as it were.
Yeah.
So, new team is formed, right? I'm very excited about the team. I'm very excited about who's on the team. And kind of shifting to the conversation from last week's podcast, it makes you ask, like, why are you doing this, right?
Yeah.
So for me, and this is why it cuts deep. If you're out there watching, watch yourself. This is why it cuts deep. Winning, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants, like, I think naturally if you're going to like the Pro Tour or you're going to these tournaments, you're the kind of person that likes to win.
Yeah, you'd like to win.
But for me, it's really just crystallizing how you win and who you're participating with when you win.
Yeah, the community element
is way more important than actually winning, right? Even failing would be more enjoyable with the right people if you're doing it above board in the right way. Yeah. By above board, there's like don't cheat and stuff. But even just like not sinking to the level where you're just playing whatever you're playing to win.
Sure.
But you actually play things you enjoy and play things that are the style that you want to be playing.
Is that what the Wolfpack is about?
Now the Wolfpack has got
on a singular mission.
On one mission. And let me tell you this, brother. Let me tell you this. Number one mission, every opportunity possible, crush and destroy Arsenal Pass.
Oh, I love it.
Every opportunity.
I love it.
Look, I may get paired against him at the Pro Tour. Hayden's an excellent player. And you may get paired against
Is Hayden really the, I mean, are you sending now are you casting out a wide net to everybody? Was everybody involved in this kind of decision? Or was this was there an actor who
I don't know the ins and outs.
Transpired.
I just know that Hayden and Dan and Brendan and whoever they associate with made this choice.
Those are the targets.
Those are my targets ultimately. And
but you never know. Sometimes, somebody comes in here and says like, I want to do this, and maybe the other people aren't really aware of what's going on or how much it matters or anything like that.
Well,
you never know.
You don't know, but I know what I know. And there's more ins and outs and what have you. But what I know is that it may not be the Pro Tour. I mean, the odds of getting paired are really low.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may even get paired against him and lose.
Yeah.
But for the rest of my Fab career, that's the goal.
The goal I have.
So the people I play with, right? And now, because before I was just kind of a passenger on the bus.
Sure.
Right? Not that I'm driving the bus now, but I'm very clear when we start the journey.
Okay, so this is I only thought you were taking it seriously before.
I was already ready to take the Pro Tour seriously.
Yeah.
But now it's on a different level. I can't tell you
different level.
The fuel in the jet right now.
Wow.
So for the rest of my Fab career, I'm going to play what I want to play with the people that I want to play with. And also, every ounce of it is destruction. Absolute and utter destruction.
So then, I mean, this is a good question then about competitive play on the whole, which is like, you were talking about this idea that maybe you don't want to play what you think is the absolute best thing because it's so obvious, predictable, boring, etc. Right? Classic story. Go to the X-Wing tournament. Person playing the Rebel Beef list. It's like it's an annoying list. It's not fun to play. Person playing it isn't having fun and just says, "Well, I'm just playing it because I think it's the best," but not having any fun doing it. So you don't want to fall into that trap. But at the same time, the new fire that's burning is actively about not even about having fun. It's about beating somebody else.
Which would be fun.
So if it's about beating somebody else, you have no choice but to play the absolute best thing you can find.
That's why priorities are important.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the most important thing is, am I having fun?
Okay.
And
still necessary.
To have fun, the requisites to me are, who am I experiencing this with? Mm-hmm. Right? You get paired at a tournament, that's one thing. But all the prep, even like in Edmond when I won that Pro Quest recently, you and Tim and Ian there watching.
Yeah.
And participating, and us like celebrating immediately after, and everyone being excited.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a lot of joy there. So who you're playing with and what you're playing and how you're deciding to play, like always playing above board, but then also playing things that you actually enjoy playing.
Yeah.
Then the secondary, right? At that point, you do all the work to get to the point where you get the opportunities.
Tastes all the sweeter if doing that you also are able to beat. Right. Somebody like Brady.
And I would rather lose, as fired up as I am, I'd rather lose to one of those people playing a deck that I enjoy playing than winning with something I didn't enjoy playing.
Sure.
And that's just, my...
that's how we've always done it, really.
Yeah, but regardless, the goal is check the first couple of boxes, and if you get the cherry on top to check one of the other boxes... Yeah.
This is really
I'm telling you, it's going to be a celebration.
Has there ever, did you guys put this together as like a marketing thing? Is this like, because a lot of people with this Will Smith, Chris Rock thing,
the slap.
A lot of people come away from that and say like, oh, well, that was engineered to create a sense of like rivalry or energy in an otherwise kind of bland situation. So is this like, is James getting you guys on the horn and saying like, hey, can you guys really manufacture something like dramatic so we can have some kind of a strange top 8 like showdown match that's like super dramatic?
It would be pretty exciting if we got paired on stream. I'll put that out there. Yeah, no, it wasn't planned at all. I was shocked because in my mind, the leader of the team that I'm on is, hey, we need to talk, and I'm thinking it's time to get serious.
Yeah,
we got 7 weeks to Pro Tour.
Ouch.
We need to have a real conversation about who's in this thing and what the schedule's going to look like.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
But instead, you got disinvited from the middle school dance.
Instead, you get tossed out to the cold, and not only me. My brother, my good friend Ian, and also one of the best players in North America, Dante Del Frisco.
Frisco got thrown too?
You crazy.
Dante Del Frisco got thrown out of that whole gathering. No way.
He's out.
No way.
I know.
No way.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Have you guys talked about this? Like, you know.
Have we talked? Yeah, we talk every day.
I mean, have you said like, hey, what's going on here?
Dante?
Well, like. Is everybody on the same page here about like we all just got betrayed and we're fired up?
I think so.
Or is it just like, you know, LOL, like, you know, they're gonna do their thing, we'll do our thing.
It's betrayal in the like lowest form possible.
Sure.
Right? Sure. Like they're great.
Makes for good television.
Yeah, I don't wish ill on them in their lives, but if I can prevent them from being successful at Fab for the rest of my Fab play time,
that's amazing.
That would be an achievement.
Okay,
but it's just like a rivalry.
So this is a genuine rivalry. This is like Bedlam. This is like OU OSU stuff. This is like the real deal.
It is the real deal.
I'm just amazed to be witnessing it.
I told you you'd love this spice.
I had no idea that was going on. Well, then why are we messing around with this Dark Horse stuff?
Well, we got to wait on the April 5th announcement.
Right on. Yeah. Well, I would love to like spend more time getting better and helping you on your journey, but I don't think I can. I've got a lot of things to do. So
we have plenty of opportunities to play.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah, look, Dante Del Vigo in the chat. I chose to stay where the rider dies.
Del Frisco
Let's go.
in the chat.
I'm telling you, man. We've assembled a team.
I like this story so much. I feel like I kind of need to like. I feel like we need to do something with this. This is like now. It's funny because this now needs to be an official. I think I can sell tickets to this. I'm serious. I think we can have an event.
A showdown?
A showdown, like a best of 5. Switch heroes every time. Sell tickets, stream it. Sell tickets to the stream even. And all of the proceeds go to me for organizing it, of course.
Yeah, directly.
Get Legend Story on the phone. So like, hey, we've got a really cool situation.
Get Steven a driveway fundraiser.
That's exactly right. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Honestly, I did not think that was going that direction. But didn't realize it was a real thing.
I'll tell you this, though. I think it is important. We talked a little bit about this on the podcast, to just ask the questions while you're playing. Mm-hmm. And being very intentional about who you're spending your time with.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And just being honest about what the goal is. Because I think the alignment came through, the misalignment started with, is the goal strictly winning? Mm-hmm. Do you care about how you win or who you're winning with?
Yeah.
And I put more emphasis on those things than the actual winning. And that's okay. That's why I say it's like the lowest level of betrayal.
Yeah.
Because if this is true now, it was just going to be more true later.
Yeah.
But
it's really, I mean, like with every great breakup, it's really also about the methodology, right? Where it's like, you know, it's one thing if somebody comes in and it's like, hey, I just wanted to kind of unpack some things that have been going on for me. Like, I feel like you have different goals with the way that you're approaching Fab. I have different goals, and then I don't think we're aligned anymore. And I think it would be best if we did our own stuff. Like, you go do your thing as best you can. I'm going to do my thing as best I can. I think that would work out better for the both of us. Like, but that wasn't the approach, seemingly, huh?
No,
it wasn't. Wow. I love this.
Alex thinks we should rename to Zach's Beefy Boys.
Well, I can't wait to talk to Brendan about that.
It'll be a good time.
I'm going to text him tonight. I'm going to say, hey, what's all this about, man? And he's going to say, oh, he's making a big deal out of it. Zach's making a big deal out of it, and then it's like, don't worry, that those guys will never beat us because we've got Hayden on our team.
Maybe true.
Yeah. But
we've got the Dante.
But let it be clear, it's because of Hayden. And maybe Dan.
Don't know if that's true. Don't know if that's true.
I want to, let's just toss it around, man. Like, come on. Anyway, this wrestler, is this Lex?
Did you figure out your wrestler? That looks just like Lex Luger.
Is that Luger?
No, that's not Lex Luger.
No, it's not.
Lex Luger's like ripped. Hold on, be careful. We're going to get...
I know, I kind of gotta... He shoves the manager aside.
Ryan Roper, new twist. AP invites Steven to the team.
Wouldn't that be awesome? It's like, Zach, actually, this is really bad timing.
Tuesday's about to get heated.
This is really bad timing, but I joined Arsenal Pass.
Yeah, no, we're Fab coming on up.
Okay. I don't know who this is, but
it's not Samoa. What was his name?
This is Yokozuna apparently, but it's Sean something, I swear.
Do you already have your deck built?
I basically I just want to talk. I'm going to talk about some concepts first. So let's talk about this metagame. Because now that you have a genuine team that you're testing with, let's talk about the three axes. The three axes that we find ourselves with.
All right.
First axis, Starvo, which is a big question mark. We don't know if Starvo in its current form is going to exist at all.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know if Starvo is going to exist at all. We don't know if Starvo in the current form is going to exist. But let's just put all that aside and say, what is Starvo doing to like the previous kind of ProQuest meta? So the first thing is, I think what you kind of are left with is you got to be able to play smaller hands better if you're going to be good against Starvo.
Because
so you're going to get the 3 Okanolds and the 3 Cripplings. And again, I'm not a professional player. You guys are well beyond me on that. But
this is your approach.
The way that I can see it is that if you're getting Crippling Crush and Okanold, that's happening. That's threatening your hand anyway, so you're incentivized to block that. Most of the time it's dominated. So at the very least, you're looking at 2 cards out of hand just to pitch and play an immovable, pitch and play a shunt, whatever it is. That's going to leave you with 3 cards max, assuming that you have armor to soak the effect as well. And then you've got the hammer swing coming in most of the time. So if you block that hammer swing, now you're down to 2 cards and an armor piece. So like, you're either going to need to play 3-card hands with a frostbite token or 2-card hands without a frostbite token. And you can only do that so much unless you're running like Dynamo, and that's a part of the conversation. So like the first thing is, okay, there's one hero who's really saying big defense reactions and small hands are what you want to be able to play to have a decent shot at that nut.
Because technically you could get a big D react and a small hand in the same hand.
That usually is what happens.
Yeah, you can like shunt or unmovable from Arsenal and then still have a medium-sized turn.
That's right. Yeah. So you start looking at, okay, well, what heroes can play smaller hands better? And then your second avenue is, can you attack Starvo in a way that he loses cards so that he can't do his ability? So you can play there's either the reactive side of that matchup or the proactive side of that matchup, which is just rip cards from hand, prevent Starvo from hitting that trigger. Ironically, the best hero for doing that is Starvo.
Because there's very few rip cards from hand. One of the biggest ones is Pummel, but it's selective by the discardee.
Right.
Which is a problem. I ran into the same thing with like Consuming Volition, Rika Corruption. These cards that
somehow Ruined Blade has access to. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really. I love Consuming Volition as an example. I've always loved that card, but
what a great card!
It really is less effective than you ever want it to be. Like the math on it usually ends up being either they already are inclined to cancel all your arcane damage, so the discard effect doesn't happen. Like it doesn't exist if they're canceling that out.
Yeah.
And then if they take the arcane, a lot of times the arcane's coming off the back of playing the Consuming. Mm-hmm. So they get to make the choice.
At the moment when they know the effect is happening.
Yeah. So like you would have to like have arcane, and there's cheeky ways to do it, right? It's like you play Sonata, pay 2, look at 4. maybe you see 2 cards, there's 2 arcane, they can't stop the arcane.
Sure.
Then you consume and it doesn't matter anymore. But they usually know the score going into that. And so, like, as Runeblade, Viscera specifically, you have 6 rune chance popping and 4 damage coming that discards. A lot of times they'll just, like, pitch, block out of hand. There's nothing to discard left. You just cancel all the damage.
Yeah, because the other problem with the Starvo match, and this is why probably something happens with this announcement, is that it can pivot into also being probably the best control deck, maybe, period.
Starvo?
Yeah.
I mean, Oldhim's the only better.
Oldhim is technically better, but you also, I mean, you got to think about how important the controlling effect of that triple element plus hammer is. I mean, you're ripping an entire hand away from an aggro deck, which has a lot of benefits aside from just blocking like Oldhim does.
Well, and like, so the thing is, I think purely defensively, Oldhim can be more defensive.
Yeah.
Because he got the reaction.
Sure.
He's just got a 2 block without spending another card.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. Especially if you like have 2 floating because you use the crown. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you can just cancel 3 with a single card. And he gets card back. It's really good. But it's going back to the Fab Foundation series, right? Part of control is, can you get your opponent to block?
Yeah.
So Starvo, not only does he send lots of damage.
Yeah, Buku.
You're either losing cards or losing life. One or the other. But then also sometimes he's sending damage you can't stop that also is going to discard cards.
Yeah.
Like a fair amount of the time.
Yeah, and which is also ultimately has been... Boomer Brava did the same thing. That was always kind of the promise. He just paid a price for it. He had to work to get off a crippling crush, take a good chunk of damage, and then a lot of times you would just block it, and then you guys would kind of be square, and you'd kind of start over. But Starvo, like, getting the crippling crush at +2 with free dominate with the hammer swing on top is like so much better than that. So you got Starvo on the one hand, and we do think that maybe something will happen there, just given the issues that we're working through here. Then you've got the other axis, which is Prism, the forever axis, which is I can play a slow long game, develop a board state. I got a bunch of good aura support here. So for any hero to beat Prism, as the saying goes, again, there are 2 ways to do this. Proactive, which is before any of those auras get voluminous enough to matter, I'm killing Prism. That's one approach, and it is prisms are built specifically to not let that happen.
And a lot of times against Prism, there comes a moment where you decide to stop caring about the illusions because you think you can finish the race.
Yeah,
and like if they keep building their board, they're going to have to be taking damage.
Yeah,
and so
a lot of the cards don't block, like the aura generators and the auras don't block, so you can have a shot at aggro in that matchup. But meantime, the general thinking is that you need a good amount of go again and or specifically action point gaining to get around Arclight Sentinel and to be able to pop multiple auras, which is great. So that's like another axis of like, okay, a hero with a lot of like go again, in particular, like I was looking at Dory originally with 2 axes, is like lead the charge, 2 axe swings, kills 2 auras on my turn. That can be pretty good, especially above 4 cost. That's 8 in value off the table. Love that. So then you got Prism there. And then you've got the Runeblade true aggro decks, which I don't think you can be reactive against. Is there any? Do you think outside of Starvo with actually sending offense your way, if somebody sits down to a Viscera match and says, "I'm gonna just block everything this whole game until they run out," do you think any hero in the game can do that?
Against Viscera?
To Vis, yeah.
So the problem, no.
Yeah.
Here's why. Specifically Viscera. The other Runeblades, maybe.
You think you could block out Briar or Chain?
Yeah.
Because, like, did you see that Hong Kong finals?
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list.
So, like, it's close. I will give it that. It's extremely close, and Eclipse saves the day on that one. But Oldhim, the best, as we established, blocking hero, and Chain did have Plunder Run at that time, was not able to do it in that final match. So Oldhim conceivably can do it, but I think early on in the days of the Chain roller coaster, we thought, like early Bravo could do it, could just fatigue out Sigils and Blessing and Deliverance. But it seems now that I'm not convinced that anyone, maybe outside of Oldhim, can sit there and block out Chain, assuming they hit 1, maybe 2 Art of Wars.
I think it heroes would have to approach it potentially differently. But I think Oldhim and then Old Bravo specifically both have the goods, because Chain lost Seeds of Agony, which really enabled him to do the pitch stacking anti-fatigue plan, because he needs to be able to, one, have massive end-game turns, which he does with like Rift Bind with the Seeds of Agony, and or get Ursa out, which is way easier when you have 0-cost blood deck cards on the bottom of your deck.
100%.
You know, that kind of thing. Now, they still have an anti-fatigue package. That's what's crazy. So they have the Unhallowed Rites, which puts a card back under. And so, like...
That's what it was at Hong Kong. Bun was playing that. Yeah.
A natural ally.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's on the team already.
Yeah. Hit me up. Now accepting... No, not really. And now accepting, it's just like flooded with people. Also, everyone in the chat, thank you for saying kind things. But it's tough to genuinely do it, but I think that's where, like, strictly fatigue is one thing. Old Bravo, the old strategy was you gain the health that you can and you block and you do damage early. Then, chain 3 to 5 if you can hit like a Spinal Crush or a Crippling Crush. Those are really devastating effects for them. Now that's Guardian. They can do that. That's why Oldhim has some of those same tools. But I think to beat Chain, as an example, Chain's really good. I've been testing against him while we're waiting. And I think you either have to move so fast that you get him to the point where he's got to start blocking.
This is the proactive approach. Yeah. Right?
Or you have got to have a way to disable him / slow down the game enough to make him essentially deck himself out.
Because like Oldhim, as the disabling archetype, can do the put a card back on top of deck reaction, which for Chain a lot of times can be a triple resource. Now you can play around that really well, but just the fact that you have to honor the fact one of your cards can go back on top of deck does make Oldhim, obviously for this reason, a very good fatigue player, and so he can slow the game down to a pretty solid degree. And then you have to honor that Ice Hammer, because a lot of times that's one attack you're not playing out of the
which is part of what's insane about Start of the Show. You saw Michael Hamilton in the finals in India. I don't know if you watched that game or not.
I haven't.
Or
I probably should.
He played against Chain on stream.
Okay.
And like the ease with which he can pivot from I'm the big threat and discard effects and Spinal Crush and all those great tools against Chain to I'm just gonna not take damage.
Yeah.
Is uncomfortable.
Yeah, you do both.
Like, it's crazy. Actually, I think that version of Chain probably had a good time against standard Starvos. And then hitting like a Michael Hamilton style.
Which was more, was it control early and then stack?
It's basically pitch stack, don't take damage. You take the good turns when you get them. But a lot of pitch stacking, and then second cycle, you're just on.
Okay, and you're just stacking down triples and hitting that ability over and over.
Yeah, or like, if you're playing against someone when the hit effects matter, it's like even something, Spinal Crush without the Dominate at the end can be, it's 3-card block.
Yeah, so basically not taking it now, but pitching it for a longer game.
Saving your threats for end game, and then getting, you get the trigger, you play like your Autumn's Touch if you don't need the Earth card, get damage in, but you just, the Crown of Seeds wonks. That card is crazy. Crown of Seeds and the Shield is just so much blocking.
Yeah, it's super good.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 axes. So when I'm looking at it, as I have many times in the tier 1.5 land, probably more like tier 2 land, I'm like, okay, so what do you attack? How can you possibly compete here? What was funny is like we had a Dory Axis game that beat Visceray in a race. So it's possible. It's conceivable. So you can have, I think every hero probably can race to some degree.
Yeah, even Bolton felt like he was like one turn off. And you weren't on combo, which who knows? Yeah. Maybe that works when it works. But even like Bolton, you were just almost there. Same with Dory. You were getting me into that strike distance.
Yeah, it was right there.
And there's games where it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's just disgusting, the turns that you can do with like a Visceray. Technically in the same way that Bolton could have the the combo turn. Like
turn 2.
Yeah, it's just
turn 3.
Oh, how in the world are you even? Yeah,
I was glad to see Soul Food in the second day.
What was
Is that Josh?
Yeah,
Josh Lau? Is he doing Soul Food?
Turn 1. Like he went first, I think, and it was just like Soul Food, low my soul. It was great.
Yeah.
Okay, you got the combo online. I better win quick.
You love it. I mean, but those are the kinds of things I think in a Dark Horse conversation, a card like Soul Food is a really great example of where you start looking. You need to start looking in weird places. Sometimes the designers are clever enough that they will seed certain things into a card pool that are one of two things happens. You look at the card and you don't really like fully appreciate what it's doing. Like Gorganian Tome on the top of your deck is a great example of that. Of like, you see it and it's like, oh, okay, I could draw a card. It's cycle, I guess, is cool. But then you put in the framework of non-attack actions for Ruined Blade, and then it starts to make a lot more sense. And then you say, well, if all the Ruined Blades are running the Gorganian Tome, I could run one and draw 2 cards if it's the right time. And so then it's like, well, I had passed on that option when I first saw the tome. Well, this isn't a good Dory card. Yeah. But now that we've seen how things develop, it's like, well, now we need to start thinking about weirder stuff. Like, should I also be running that so that I can get a double draw off of it? Soul Food also a great example. You start to say, well, I can't win unless I can go super fast. And what are the cards in my card pool that I previously have said no?
Well, and even in Destarbo, it's, he attacks you and it's going to discard 2 random?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a hand anymore.
All of them in Soul. That's why Sigil gets better. Mm-hmm. You can just dump your Sigils and not lose it.
Sigil forever. I was like, why wouldn't I just run a 3-block?
Yeah.
So that's a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Just dominate. The other good reason is like on the old Kodachi plan.
Yeah.
So you get down to 1 and they Kodachi at you. A 3-block blocks. It doesn't block the next Kodachi though.
Yeah, true.
So game 3 covers the Kodachis and gives you a life.
Gets you out of some situations. Yeah, so then basically for me, like I really dig 3 classes. I dig Warrior, I dig Brute, and I dig Ranger.
Living the high life.
But not Lexi, really. I should, but it's just something about it. I just don't like it. It's not popular? Because it's too popular. It's really not.
Just her vibe as a character?
Well, I think I'm very attracted to like, I'm ultimately a limited kind of player. So I think I'm just very attracted to like fundamentals. And so Lexi's fundamentals are bad. Her upside is huge, but she can have like all Ranger. Like the fundamentals of Ranger as a class are very weird. You don't have block 3s. A lot of your cards are very conditional. You have to literally have attacks in hand to do anything. So you don't have a weapon. So you don't have the fundamental fatigue plan or long game plan that you can do anything with. People can run you out of deck fairly easily. Fatigue has a pretty easy time of just running you out of your 30 attacks, etc. There's a lot of like fundamental things. But if you look at Warrior and Brute, like those are the most like fundamental classes that started early. It's like all of these Warrior cards block for 3. You're using your weapon as your primary source of damage, so like you don't get stuck with, I didn't draw an attack hands. Yeah. There's just a lot of upside to it. So when I'm looking at those 2 classes, there's actually 2 things that come to mind. Like Brute has some pretty good reasons to be considered right now, I would say.
So run it down, right? So Brute and Destarvo.
Yeah, so Brute and Destarvo. So Brute can play a really good 2-card hand. I love Brute 2-card hands. So they do a great job of scaling up with their hand size just through barraging beatdowns. So it's a 0 cost, blocks for 3, gives you a conditional +4/+3 on red and yellow, which is great, right? So a card for 3 or a card for 4. It incentivizes your opponent to block. If it's the wrong decision, it's the wrong decision, but it's giving you upside for a meta that doesn't want to block right now. You can have all your 3 blocks, so you can play a pretty defensive game, and you can play a long game. And the thing is, you can close a game with Brute if you can slow roll it enough where you can do the triple barraging, pack hunt, whatever, and just intimidate 4 cards out of hand. So it's got a pretty good matchup into, well, pretty good in the sense of like a Dark Horse matchup. So like a Starvo that wants to start going control and blocking everything, you have the Intimidate to solve that problem.
Yeah.
If they keep wanting to hit you with big attacks, it's like you're already in a blue curve. You probably run those 3 unmovables. You may even start looking at weird cards like Bonehead Barrier. You've got access to the Reckless Swing, which is not awesome in that matchup. And
what's the thing that damages me when I attack?
Reckless Swing. It's a 0 for 4. Yeah, 0 for 4. It's a discard.
You bamboozled me with that a couple times.
Yeah, totally. So there's some. It's not great. Like blocking those big attacks, it's not awesome at. But it can come back in, threaten club for like 8 or 9, or meat axe for 9, and it's like that's a pretty good 2-card hand swinging back.
It can also get up and go, right?
That's the other piece of it. So Brute as a dark horse also can look at the Ruin Blades and say, listen, I can't beat this playing a normal game. And I think that's what you have to get into is I can't beat this playing a normal game. But what I can do is roll scabs every turn and see if I can YOLO myself into the finals.
Yeah. Because sometimes you can just...
Which does happen. It's like Dalen?
Dalen or this Prism list.
So your last matchup on day 2 of the, what is it, Pro something?
Indy Calling.
The Calling. That's the kind of thinking you have going into these kinds of events. Dalen's saying like, my Prism into Viscerai match, not awesome.
Usually not great, yeah.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a 30% chance to just high roll it out.
Yep.
And win.
And Brute can do that.
And Brute can technically do that.
So you would potentially do that against like Runeblade.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
aggro in general.
Against aggro, like you're not going to outblock these Runeblades unless you're like Oldhim. So your only option then is to say like, can I get cards out of their hand? And can I race them? And Brute has Pummel and Scabskins. So for me, like I look at Leviathan, I'm like, I get Shadow Puppetry, I get Dread Screamer, I get Bunya Marauder off Tunic. There's a lot of good tools that don't involve this big, heavy blood debt investment that just makes you better than Rhinar simply because Alpha Rampage is not that important. That's a 3-card hand. And then you don't need the Intimidate discard ability. Nobody's blocking your stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So you may as well go Leviathan and get a few more cards that actually contribute to your gameplay.
The pump, conditional pump has Intimidate printed on it, right?
Yeah, barraging does. Yeah, which is great. So it's like a selective discard or a selective Intimidate.
So, it's the kind of thing, you leave them with 2 cards and it's like either the element card they need for the ability or the Crippling Crush. And it's like, you can't block. You just
100%.
take the damage. And then Brute into Prism has also historically been like pretty good.
Historically, it should be good. Again, you have access to action point gaining. You have access to double weapons in the claws. So you can do double claw into Prism if you want. You can roll scabs, get 2 actions, and slice twice, add an aura off of, literally that play is off of like, it could be a blue and a tunic, or it could be just 2 cards that you pitch. And like, you roll scabs, swing at 2 auras, level the board out, and it's like, oh, that's a pretty good turn. So there are a lot of options for Brute, I think, cleverly built and sideboarded in a very, very well-practiced way, could actually probably swing into this current state of the game in a fairly good way.
Yeah.
But I think you disincentivize Rhinar and Intimidate, and you pick up the go-again tools in Leviah and Dread Screamer and Shadow Puppetry.
So Leviah's back on the menu.
Well, I think it's not Leviah Hexagore 20 Blood Debt, right?
Oh, totally.
It's probably Leviah never get a Blood Debt card in your Banish Zone. Like, you're just there for the increased card access.
Yeah.
And Husk.
Which, Husk and Shadow Puppetry are enough to get me to go somewhere.
Yeah, a Husk at the right time against Starvo might be the game-winning situation.
That's always the getting back into testing against Chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you just get a free pivot. What? Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Every time it's like I get to that moment where it's like, oh, you're just going to Husk.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, it's always that CNC normally where it's like for me, it's always that freaking CNC. I send it, set it up perfectly.
So
like, oh, that's good.
I know Warrior is top of mind though. So like, where does that leave you with Warrior? How does that go through that process?
It's more of a conversation than statement, to be honest with you. There's
I love that.
There's so many different ways to do Warrior right now, and weird ways. So you've got Dory. Dory can go, to me, either Axes or Dawnblade. Those are I don't think you take Dory Sabers. That's an idea from the early times.
Yeah, back when the game was fair.
Back when the game was fair, that's right. You were playing Push Forward because it was so good and Push the Point and all these cards.
Man, do you remember? That was crazy.
I remember playing those games. Super fun.
The crystallizing moment for me was the Valiant Dynamo.
Yeah.
And like, I had the fancy math. I thought I might be wrong on that when I was saying it.
Yeah.
But then we started playing against Chain. It was just like, well, another reason the Valiant Dynamo doesn't work is there's only 6 turns.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be 15-turn games.
Yeah. Yeah, you had a lot of time to grind.
Yeah, I didn't mean to distract you from.
Yeah, no, you're good. But that's where. So my thinking is like Dory has some interesting use cases on Axes. Simply because you gain great 2-card hands by the numbers. You're not threatening anything terribly much, but you're sending back, like 8-ish damage off of your 2 cards, and you're recharging your Valiant Dynamo. Dynamo plus a card from hand is really great at blocking Winter's Wail, which is Starvo's #1 thing. You also get access to Steelblade Shunt and Immovable in the same list, which is phenomenal. So
Steelblade off Tunic is high value.
That was the thinking going into, and it didn't really work. So it would need to be squeezed more, but that you have these tools that you can actually absorb a lot of the Starvo problems. My issue with Starvo was coming out the other side of that understanding that Starvo can go control as well, and a good Starvo player knowing that if you go full control into a Dory Axis build, you should always win. Because so much of your game plan on Dory Axis is breaking the chain with hit and runs, and the fact that resets your shield is
so good,
devastating. Yeah. So it's almost, to me, I would put that in the unwinnable category if they know what they're doing.
Which is the problem.
Yeah. So you're like, well, I don't want to play something that breaks the chain so much, and it's like, okay, let's talk about Boltyn. Because then you look at Boltyn and you say you get Steelblade Shunt and Immovable and Soul Shield. You've got 9 big D reacts with that.
High value.
Which is impressive. The problem is your 2-card hands are garbage in Boltyn. They're garbage. Anyone who thinks they're not garbage, I've seen people say that two-hand Boltyn.
Because essentially the best 2-hand Boltyn turn without Tunic is a 0 attack that charges.
That's right.
So 3 or 4 damage with a maybe hit
Express
effect.
Lightning is 4 with a charge. Bolt is your best option. 3 with a charge, threatening hit effect.
Yeah, and if you have a Tunic and you're willing to spend the Tunic, you could take flight, charge, swing the sword.
Yeah.
So a 2-card
swing
hand,
raid.
2-card hand for 6 or 7 damage and a soul.
Yeah. Yeah, the and a soul is the thing that we're not even really sure where to put that.
Yeah, it's the X value that is undefined, and it's honestly, if I had to tell you a number of value, it's probably worth 1.8.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
You want it to be worth more than it is.
It really isn't.
But then when you actually get into the game and you're using soul on things, you're like, if it isn't the Lumina combo, the real combo, or a giant Beacon of Victory, it's just go again. It's just like playing a hit and run or lead the charge.
Beacon of Victory, the card is worth 1.
Yeah.
Every card in soul.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by 1.8. It's
you get that cert.
Go again can be worth. You can, but inevitably the problem is you have to run cards that don't have go again by default. When you could just be running cards that have go again that don't require the soul.
If you have the right class, yes.
But I mean, even Ravenous Rabble.
Sure.
And Scar for a Scar.
And the upside is they all block for 3.
That is the upside.
Standard Warrior. It used to be more of an upside than it is.
But in the Starvo, if you can't block, it doesn't matter.
If you can't block in Starvo, it doesn't matter. If you're blocking all the time against Ruin Blade, you're losing anyway. And into Prism, a lot of times it doesn't matter because you're getting auras for 1, and you're popping Phantasm with 6s. So there's 3 blocks. That was a different game when that mattered a lot more. But Boltyn's weird. So you got Boltyn Raiden, which we've kind of looked at a bunch. There are ways to run it. It's got a pretty decent Prism matchup. I don't think it has any play into Starvo at all. You can block a lot of attacks, but I just don't think you can close the game. And I could be wrong, but Raiden's weird. And then you got the Sabers, which there's a lot to be said about the combo. Obviously, Josh had success with the combo. We've seen people have success with the Saber combo. I think that's a reasonable direction to go. It seems like the way to go with Boltyn right now is a hybrid list of Raiden and swords. Raiden for Prism primarily, and then Sabers for everything else.
Just to swing without spending a resource.
Yeah, and then you've got weird stuff like Boltyn Axes, which doesn't have a very compelling value proposition over Boltyn Sabers, because you may as well YOLO yourself into the combo without even really trying.
Yeah.
Have that potential for that with Courage, instead of running the Axe plan, which it's nice because you can use your soul to do things like Sharpen Steel, Pitch, Axe for 5, Axe for 3. That's okay, but again, you're on 2 cards and you're sending back 8 damage using 1 soul. And it's how the math could ever work out on that. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So then lastly to me is you have Dory Dawnblade. And I'm hotter on Dory Dawnblade than I have ever been in the past. I think Slice and Dice has changed the game. I think if you look at a no block meta and a meta that hasn't experienced Dory for a while, and we haven't really seen the new Slice and Dice and even Shatter to some degree, is there a way to run Dawnblade into this particular pie that could make something new or interesting happen? So that's what happens a lot of times too in the Dark Horse situation is there are heroes you have written off previously in different metas, and then them doing the exact same thing can sometimes be like, that's pretty good here. Now, the problem with Dory right now on Dawnblade is that everybody's on big defense reactions for Starvo.
Yeah.
So you can't really run the reprise plan, but then it's like, okay, what does Dory look like if you're not running the reprise plan? And it's like, it looks kind of like Dory Axes, except it's conditional swing for 3, rather than swing for 2, swing for 3. And you have the threat of an on-hit counter.
Yeah.
So you can potentially race the Rune Blades, which Axes can't do. It did it once. On a beautiful, it was a sunny day outside.
It did happen.
There was angels coming down from the heavens, and suddenly you had lost. But Dawnblade can actually race, and Dawnblade is the most threatening thing that Warrior has in their entire card pool, aside from that Lumina combo.
Yeah, because it's a constant on-hit effect, right?
Constant on-hit effect. In a perfect world, Dory can kill you end of turn 2 or definitely turn 3 if everything goes according to plan.
Plus she gets the +2 draw card.
Yes, with Supremacy.
So
in a metagame where like people don't want to block and they think they've got the hotness of all the Warrior options, I think Dawnblade actually has enough of a threat at the right time with enough luck to actually be able to outrace or otherwise force people to block that don't want to block. Yeah. And that can give you some breathing room. She also scales up really well. So like now especially she's got probably 6 Slice and Dice and 3 Sharpened Steel.
Which one's Slice and Dice?
It's a 0 cost, first sword attacks +1, second one is +3, +2, +1, based on the color.
Okay.
Which is actually really handy, because like most of the time, somebody blocking Dawnblade is gonna either block 6 or 0.
Yeah.
And so if they kind of know what you're up to, and if it's Dory Slice and Dice, all you have to do is get over that initial hit, that initial hit point of 3. So like, they can't just put 1 card into it. Now they've got to go to 6 if they want to block that 4. And if they don't block the 4, the second swing comes in at 6, which a lot of times is where people will go like, okay, I won't block the first one, Sharpened Steel, Dawnblade, I'll take 6. Then the 3 that's coming with no cards in hand, I'll just block that for 3. That's safe, you don't get the counter, we move on. So there's just some cool maneuvering you can do in there, and I think you don't run Singing Steelbite, I think you don't run like the reprise stuff. I think it plays more like Axes, but you just assume that if they're not blocking the Warrior's Valor 6, like, I think you can win that matchup.
Yeah, you almost have so much tied up into Warrior's Valor already. Mm-hmm. If they overblock it by, let's say, 3, and you were at 6, like, that's fine.
Fine. So what does Starvo do? Like, send back a Hammer Swing?
Which is fine.
And that gets you to the next thing, which is like,
we're going to Dory Dawnblade Town, and I love it. I am here for the party.
We haven't really revisited / looked at Dory in this kind of a metagame where you're more likely to see people not block because they think they're faster than you, and they are. But
back in the like Road to National days, I was blocking.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, it's
right?
like,
Dory was a threat, like a serious threat. At this point, there's no way that Vis's 5-card hand is less good than Dory's 5-card hand in a no-block situation. Yeah. Now, over time, obviously, Dory scales. Yeah. But you have the ability to actually look at Valiant Dynamo again in the context of Dory being able to swing twice more often. Bolters are great. Obviously, bolters are really important for her. But if you're going to be able to do 2-card hands, swing for 3, swing for 3, or swing for 6, swing for 3, do you try Dynamos and just see if you get a free hammer block?
Pitch a blue, Warrior's Valor. Swing the sword. If it hits, swing the sword.
Yeah, or pitch a blue, Spoils of War, or pitch a blue, and then...
Spoil is another great card there.
Play the Go Again from hand, which I always forget, Glint the Quicksilver.
Ryan Cochran, I'm really excited about this discussion. I was coming to similar conclusions this weekend with scaling potential of Dory.
Yeah, it's like it scales up really well. Brute scales up really well. Dory scales up really well. So I just want to at least build that Dory deck and kind of see where that might go. And I think the first thing to do is test against any of these Ruin Blades. It would be fine.
Yeah, I'll throw this at you.
And we'll just kind of see how fast it is. Flock is an interesting card. So here's an example of the squeeze. Let's go to the tape here. So again, we're in Dark Horse land, so we're having to make things happen that are not easy. But what I started looking at is like,
I love the Moxie,
and this was in Axe land. So here's all that you need. Well, we'll get the tunic too. We'll make it pretty.
You always need the tunic.
Yeah. So you start saying like, okay, yeah, cool, but like, what are my actual? What's the best thing that this deck can do? And so with Axes, it was actually really unexpected and weird. I think as far as value per card, this was probably the best thing that it could do. So you block down to a 2-card hand, which is flock and hit and run ideally. Red hit and run is like the perfect. So then you come back with Tunic, flock for 5, create a Quicken token, show hit and run, arsenal hit and run.
I see.
Right, so this is a 2 cards, you've done 5 damage.
Got a Quicken token and stored an arsenal.
Got a Quicken token. Then next turn, you can block all the way down to 1 card in hand. And then you pitch, swing, hit and run, swing with Axes. So this is across 3 cards. You've done 5 damage. You've done 3 damage with your hit and run, so that's 8. That's 9, 10 with the first axe, 11, 12, 13 with the second axe. So 3 cards for 13 damage.
Now we're getting to good math.
It's very good. Over 4 per card, it takes the tunic to do. It's not breaking the game open, but these are the weird little kind of plays you need to be able to see that like, okay, they probably don't block the 5 on the flock. It's like they're going to send back something awesome. And then they're going to knock 2 cards out of your hand with Starvo, and you're going to send back a very solid 8.
Realistically, they could get rid of 3 cards.
Totally. Yep.
Like if they're not discarding, you could just block 9 probably, and still send that turn back.
Yeah, absolutely. So flock gets interesting. It's awkward. It's hard to play, and it isn't block for 2. But here we are. We got to get weird. So I've actually got a list built, and it does have Shatter in it, if you can believe it, because I think if you're going against Starvo, you actually can blow up that shield.
Which is big.
And I think it can be the right decision.
Kafrika saying, I'm new to Flesh and Blood, but Shatter has always read well in my mind. It feels underused. So Shatter is powerful, but
I wish it was better.
It's very restricted. I think in the Star of the Show match with the shield is like the cream of the crop, as Macho Man is wont to say. I think that is probably the most, because they want to use the shield consistently. A lot of times just having Shatter on the turn, they're actually going to use the armor that you're trying to get, because they have to use the armor and you have to do damage. Or they have to have used the armor in the chain. They have to have
blocked with it. It has to be on the combat chain. And then you give up the damage you would do for an equal amount of armor left on something.
Behind asking, are there good videos to watch to understand good math in Fab and optimizing turns? We're continuing to do a series called Fab Foundations, and the whole basis of that conversation is on the math behind blocking and attacking and all that kind of stuff. So I would highly recommend checking those out.
You have Enlightened Strikes?
I have a version of Enlightened Strike, yeah.
And I'm going to run 2 flocks in this. I just want to see it.
My non-Noir versions are at home.
Yeah, of course. And you've got Shunt, and I still am back and forth on whether or not to run Steelblade Shunt into like this. I think Briar actually is pretty okay.
Because she's going to have heroics.
She's going to have the 6s.
And stuff.
You don't need it, but, you know,
what's
off of the tunic, it's worth 3. These are just Dragon Shield blacks.
These are in Dragon Shield, so I was going to unsleeve them, but if you're already in.
I'm already there. Yeah.
Behind says, oh, I missed your response. My dog was going off. Check out Fab Foundations. It's a video series we did. It's all about the fundamental math behind the game of Flesh and Blood. I think that's a great place to start.
So, as all great Dory lists do, you start with, how are you getting your go again?
You're on the Dory train, eh?
Yeah.
On the sideboard.
And it's not strictly wrong. Hit and run is not what you want to play to open the game up, but to open your turn up. Blue hit and run? Absolutely. Did somebody say a blue block 3 that can also, in a hand where it's allowed to not have to be your pitch card, give you a free source of go again. Yeah. Love that. And what I'm gonna test here is basically I'm gonna take my Outland Skirmishes out, I'm gonna take my Hit and Runs out, and I'm gonna take my Blade Runners out from this Axis build. And I'm gonna just start looking at like how it plays. And I'm gonna go all 3 colors of Warriors Valor. That's nothing revolutionary. But I think anything over a hit point or a break point at this juncture, 2 cards out of any of these decks' hands is so much more significant than 1. Like, so much more. It's exponential. It is not a straight line.
Honestly, getting 2 cards out of hand for Runeblade particularly, it's not 3 per card like we talked about in Fab Foundations.
Yeah, right. It's not a straight line at all.
It's crazy, actually, the value that you're ripping. Niccolo,
when you're not the best deck,
nice seeing Dory hit the table.
Yeah, we're gonna try this Dawnblade.
Norian likes the Altar E-Strikes.
Yeah, you had to be around early to get those.
Yep, real early.
You wouldn't believe how much it took. Okay, so this becomes our source of go again. We've got the full spread of 9 Valor, which a lot of times you didn't necessarily want to run early on in the game. But right now, I think people are so unwilling to block with 2 cards. 9 Warriors Valor becomes way better. You got Spoils, which is your guaranteed. So that's 12. We're at 15 with Glint of your like primary sources of go again, which is pretty okay. We can sneak in 18 with his blue Hit and Run if we're being cheeky. We've got 20 after a flock, so we're gonna try to make that a thing. So 20 sources of Dawnblade go again, even if they're conditional, we'll at least start there. I don't imagine we can do much better. We can do weird things. Basically, here's the rule in Flesh and Blood, as you well know. You just never want to be spinning a card to give something go again only.
That's right.
I mean, it's so rare that it's right.
It's getting an action point from like Lead the Charge into Prism
can work.
Different.
It's a different world.
If you're moving 2 4-cost auras from the table, that's worth a lot.
It's a different world.
A whole lot.
Now, because we're on the topic of people not blocking, I wanna bring some ideas back.
Well, let me check and see if I got the fancy.
You got that cold foil?
Let me see.
Well, if you got it.
I don't know that I stock it anymore. You know, I can't carry them all. See, are you on Courage Blade Hold?
I can't. It would be in the sideboard, not against Runeblade.
Gallantry Gold.
And it might be the right call against Runeblade. That's something that I would have to.
I don't have it with me.
Okay, I'll grab the actual one. So if we need more sources to go again, you look at Driving Blade and you're like, this card is not good. We know that. That's an acceptable thing. It does mean we get a second Sword Swing off of Tunic, but you really don't want to be playing it. A card I really want to try though, Nature's Path Pilgrimage. So Nature's Path is nice because even on a 2-card hand, blue Nature's Path, swing the sword, you're swinging Dawnblade for 6, and you're threatening if it hits, it's going to draw me a card, go to Arsenal. So it's I put that as a 2-card for 9, which to me 4.5 per card is doing okay work. We also know we're not running a strong amount of attack reactions because we assume that there's not a lot of blocking going on. So Nature's Path Pilgrimage, looking only for action cards off top of that, makes a lot more sense than it used to in the reprise heavy builds.
Does
let's go. Let's have some ideas. Let's have some Dark Horse idea session.
Well, this is probably wrong given the nature of the actions that you have. But where does Helm of Sharp Eye fit into all this?
Ooh, I mean, that's a great question. It might fit. Does it fit? I mean, Lord help me if I could tell you that.
Because essentially you'd have to have a sword at 6, right? First Downblade at 6.
Yes.
And then
the problem is the money.
Yeah.
It's always the money, because usually it's 1 cost go again, 1 cost sword, 1 cost sword.
Yeah,
so
unless you're Encourage a Blade Hold, dude.
Then you have one turn.
Big ol' equipment turn.
Big ol' pop the courage, pop the helm. That might be the only way to win the race, and we can absolutely consider doing that. I'm not scared of that. And I'm going to test Slice and Dice real hard here.
Ryan Roper saying too many non-attacks for Sharp Eye. Can it get non-attacks? It's just action cards, right?
Is it only attacks? It might just be attacks.
That seems weak. I thought you had to be able to play it on the chain.
You do have to play it this combat chain. It's not just attacks. It's not just attacks.
Also, another issue, Ryan Roper. It's greater than double, not just double.
Yeah, terrible then.
Gone.
Shatter, we can. It
was already a tough pill to swallow, but that's just devastating.
It's real bad, yeah. It's real bad. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got Blue Warrior's Valor. Got it. We've got Blue Slice and Dice. Got it. We're going to be testing that. So just think about this. How annoying is this? So these.
You always got to ask that question.
These zeros are your scalars. So these you got 12 really appropriate scalars. Ironsong Determination comes in as your 15th scaling card. All these cards block for 3. They're the first thing that you block with. But if you are left with any of these, it just makes it more annoying. Even Blue Slice and Dice. Swing Down Blade for 4. Swing Down Blade for 4.
Yeah, way worse.
Like, oh, that's annoying. Anyway. Steelblade Supremacy, of course, is your kind of your monster turn.
Cardboard Cast. Warriors Perpetually Poor. Shallow Pockets. It's all that armor.
We got Blue Overpower. Why do we have Blue Overpower? There's a couple of good reasons. One is it can absolutely just straight up end some of these games. And when you're thinking about, or at least when I think about blues, I don't know how the good players do it, but when I think about blues, I'm thinking about a couple of things. One, what can this open anything up late game for me? So Blue Overpower, as an example, is pitch a blue, swing Dawn Blade for 3, they block for 3. I have 1 card in hand, it's late game. Maybe they block for 6 because they know a story. You know, we're at the 1 health, 2 health threshold. We're trying to grind each other down. You can tunic Blue Overpower to get +4, which is going to get you over their double block threshold. So I'm not scared of Blue Overpower.
I like that. I'm always looking for like long distance utility out of my blues.
Yeah.
Like, can they block for 3? Can they pitch for 3? Great. Can they do something none of the other cards in my deck are doing, or reinforce something I need more of?
Yeah.
Is a perfect example of that. Question coming in for like Noel. What's the playmat you guys are using? I like how clean it is.
Yeah, we designed it. It's ours. We printed it. We made it ourselves. I'm adding Blue Out for Blood here just because if there is 1 card in hand, you could potentially just Out for Blood for +1 to save yourself, get a tunic, or to turn on your go again if you need it. But it's also because I don't want attack reactions to be, I want this not to go in. So for Nature's Path Pilgrimage, for instance, this is something that I'm fine. If I hit this off the top, I can send this to the bottom and keep my blue count kind of throughout the game to be fine. Now, Blue Nature's Path, I'm fine going into Arsenal. I like that because I actually like the idea of swinging for 4 could draw a card. That's a fine thing to be in your arsenal, so not afraid of that.
Appreciate that, Noel. Saying the playmat is lovely.
Thanks. Blue Hit and Run is in, so we've got that. We've got Blue Glint, of course. That's classic. So we're looking at 3, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
That really on stream is terrifying to me. I'm proud of you for doing this.
Oh, I've already got it built.
Okay. So I was like, man, it is a weird amount of brain energy to be on stream and be building a deck.
I've got 21 blues, which is strictly probably just not enough. But we're going to find out. We know it's 24, although this is the Timmy Wong theory. If Timmy Wong was playing Fab, he would probably have 2 blues.
Yeah.
And he would win.
Or it'd be like 16.
It's just like,
the minimum.
Just not enough.
The minimum you need, like he would win games on 1 health every time.
Yeah.
No armor left. It's like
no armor, yeah. It'd be
perfectly efficient.
Perfect, yeah.
And his deck would somehow make it work where he only needs blues when he gets them.
Yeah, of course. He'd have it every time, the perfect moment, yeah.
Marcus says, Steven's Warrior Love gives me life.
Oh, that's great. Now, a card like Blue Biting Blade is absolutely worth your time.
Oh, this is a great comment. Troy, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Saying, first time catching you guys live. Love the content you make. I look forward to every video you upload. I've already pre-registered for Soulforge Fusion. Keep up all the great work.
Awesome, man.
Welcome. You have any questions, hit us up.
Providing that kind of value.
Yeah, and if you're not already in the Discord, definitely check that out. It's a great community of people. Steve and I hang out there. and we're not the great ones. Everyone else is. But it's a great time, and you're welcome to be here.
We're going to unsleeve our Spill Bloods, our Blade Runners, etc.
I dreamed a dream.
What's that?
The Spill Blood, yeah.
It's good, man. I mean, there were some really good turns. There were some really impressive things.
It feels
I'm
this
throw
close,
your
right?
one hard to find on.
Oh, let's go.
Just because I like to see it. When it comes up, you feel so awesome.
Dude,
every time.
You're the heart of the team here.
You feel so awesome when you draw it. That's one cool thing about those cards.
I was at the first ProQuest this season. I was playing my Arcanine Shard, and like I didn't have it in my first.
And you're like, oh
yeah, I didn't have it in my first 3 matches because it wasn't in the sideboard, for those games. Game 4, I put it in, but I'm not really thinking about it. I'm just pretty focused. First hand that I draw, it has it in it, and it's just like catches you for a moment. You're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Then I lost.
Now remember, here's anyone on the dark horse path.
Yeah.
Be real.
I love the vibe. Get real. You're really good at sealed and draft, and then during constructed seasons, you're just on the dark horse train.
I'm just doing weird stuff.
Yeah, I love it. No, I really do love it. Yeah.
So, just really be aware. It's unlikely the first time you're bringing any kind of a weird deck like this or an off-meta deck, you're probably just going to get destroyed. Like, it will appear hopeless.
Especially because, like...
And then you'll talk to Alex.
You're playing against my Visceray. You know what? It would be amazing if you won after this. But you're playing against my Visceray. I've been playing Visceray for over a year.
That's right.
Quite frequently. And this deck is not new to me at all. I've refined it. I've filtered through all the blues that I like and don't like. And, like, it's gone through the ropes, so to speak. So when that does make it hard, even in so I mentioned earlier doing the daily testing.
Yeah.
New decks can feel bad.
Real bad.
Because you start playing, it's like, oh, that wasn't even close. You play 3 of those, and you're very demotivated.
Yeah.
You have to have some thick skin to play the Dark Horse or just to play a new deck.
Yeah. But what you want to look for is, what is working. Don't focus on what's not working. You need to ask yourself what's working. Is there anything that this deck is doing that's particularly good?
There it is.
10, 11, 12.
15 years deep. There it is.
18, 19, 20, 21. 45, 26, 27, 28, 29.
Caleb's saying, I joined the Discord a while back. Steven actually helped me pick out my beginning pad deck.
40,
and you're still here. A miracle.
5, 4, 6, 4, 7, 8, 9, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. We've got 57 strong cards here. Now, from there, we can go into weird stuff like Shatter. We can go into Sink Belows and Fate for Scenes. I've got an idea that Bingo is actually really good in this deck. And I hate it. I hate that that's even
in your mouth.
But you have to explore every weird avenue, because this is why. I'll show you exactly why, because on its face, it's like, well, how?
Yeah, tell me more.
So you just construct lines. And you construct these lines.
So Bingo is a neutral card that is not with us.
It's here.
You have Bingo?
Oh no, I've got it in my deck builder. I don't have the actual one. But right here is a lot of times what you'll be dealing with. Is you'll have guaranteed go again on spoils. You'll swing Dawnblade. You'll have 1 resource floating. If they block this attack, Dawnblade doesn't get to attack again. So you've got 1 resource floating and nothing to do. And this is where making use of this go again is really important. So cards like Snatch get good here. Cards like Bingo as a 1 for 5 on the end of this chain.
How does Bingo read?
If it hits, they reveal a card. If it's a non-attack, I think you get go again. If it's an attack, you get to draw a card. But your opponent might find themselves in a situation where they block this for 6, and they're holding 2 attacks, and they have to give you a card draw or block with both, and that wins you a 4-card hand.
Yeah.
So you're just basically looking at what can I do with 1 resource and go again that could be in this slot. And again, Snatch is the common choice there. But right now we're just going to play it clean. And then I think I am going to do 3 Sink Belows, because that's going to help so much with Dory hands that don't have blues in them.
Do you have that handy, or do you need it?
Oh, I'm sure I've got it somewhere.
Because I've got them.
If you got them, yeah, just toss them on.
Below.
And are you playing Vis or are you playing Briar? Either one's fine.
I'll play Vis.
You can run them.
We'll just start
where all great things start, just getting outraced by Vis in a serious way.
Heroic Nerd, do you guys play competitive Blitz?
No. No, in fact, we joke about it to a degree. I haven't played Blitz in forever. Honestly, since
January 2021.
Yeah.
We switched to constructed.
I honestly, I think the format itself is not good. And I think it could so easily be good. So it's kind of frustrating. It's like Blitz needs to not be half CC. It does not need to be a situation where turn 0 kills exist or turn 1 kills exist. That is not a good way to introduce new players to such a sophisticated game as Flesh and Blood. What it does need to be is commons and rares only.
I totally agree with that.
Or popper or one of every card in your deck or something.
Yeah, I think commons and rares is so cool because it also
make it more interesting.
Means you have to use a bunch of equipment and weapons you don't normally use.
Yeah.
Now, Rosetta Thorn's still good, I guess.
Yeah, there's still issues, right? It's not a perfect, clean, like, here's how this is going to make this all better. But if you need to differentiate that format so that it is actively new player friendly and not getting beat by Rhinar on turn 0.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Yeah. Matt is saying CC isn't exactly a paragon of balance at the moment either.
No.
No, but at least, and CC is actually faster than I want it to be.
Yeah, it is too fast right now.
I would like 10 to 15 turn games. So 3 to 5 turn games sometimes is not ideal for me.
No.
But still, 5 turns is better than 1.
Yeah. And it's not even about balance. Like, it's fine. Blitz and CC, every card game is going to have strikes and gutters and balance and whatnot. I actually think CC right now is pretty good. But it's just about what's the format offering, right? If it had something different, a different deck building challenge, a different idea, a more actively new player friendly vibe to it, by making it very easy to build a deck, because you could get all the cheap cards. You could get only commons and rares. I don't know if you could do it with just only commons, but something that actively was like playing to the intended audience, which I assume is newer players, is great. I would prefer that format to exist in that kind of a way.
Yeah, Ryan represents there's at least 3 heroes with turn 1 kills in Blitz. I know Kano, Eviscerate, and KO can definitely get it done in 1 turn.
It's because the ratios of the decks are the exact same as CC. So your efficiency is identical to a CC deck.
Yeah.
40 cards 2 of, 60 cards 3 of. But you're just at half health. So like if Kano by a miracle can turn 0 kill somebody in constructed.
Kafrika saying, you inspired me to make my first deck Dorinthea Axis. It looks like I'm switching out a lot of cards tonight.
Oh, right. Yeah. I still think Axis.
Yeah, Benji is another one. There's OTKs and different area codes.
Axis has huge play still. I think it still has a lot to be discovered in the grand scheme of things.
Plus, we're about to get a Dorinthea starter deck.
Yeah, that glistening seal blade is good. That's a good card. It's funny when you actually put it in the context of this
deck.
Bill, it's like, where does it go exactly?
Yeah, because it's +1 and you get a counter every time you hit.
No, it's not +1.
Are you sure?
Sword gets go again, and there's a counter every time the sword hits. No, you're still at the 3 break point, which is where it gets weird. So like, a lot of times it's a 2-card hand that they block 1, and then your turn's over. So then you need a 3-card hand to make it work, but then they block 2 and your turn's over. So then it's like, okay, well, how many cards do I need to make this a threat?
All right. Go again. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right, dog.
As I said, it's a very fair card.
It is very
It's not Skeletor. It's not Sonata.
Well, very few things are Skeletor.
It's just a fair card. That's exactly right, Sam. Hell yes. Saying my friend just won Skirmish on Sunday with Dory Axis. That's when Dark Horse Heroes are super fun.
Yeah.
Locally, it's just like a blast to play this. Rare or not, I mean, and I think that's saying in Blitz, I'd rather get one turn killed by a KO or Kano every 20 games than lose turn 3 to Visceray, because my deck can't handle Mavrian attack Rosetta or so. And I think some people dig it. I mean, there's a long history of card games that actively have an OTK situation. I think Yu-Gi-Oh had that for the longest time, or still does.
I mean, that particular pattern though, right? So let's say you pitch a blue, play a Mavrian, play a 2-cost attack, swing the sword. Blue, Mavrian, attack, sword, 3-card hand, which is fine. Most of those attacks are going to be 4 or 5 damage, and then you have a 4 damage sword. If the attack hits, you get, let's say, 2 or 3 rune chants, and then you create the rune chant when you play the attack. So
12 or 13 for 3 cards. Yeah, good.
I mean, the question would be if your deck can't handle 12 to 15 damage a turn, like in the Fab Foundation series, that's what I always talk about with. I get it. The Runeblade turns always feel super unfair, because usually for them to be unfair, earlier things had to happen that created a bunch of rune chants, and those turns are actually usually not. There are exceptions. There are some wonky turns. I get it. But the reality of that play pattern particularly is if your deck can't handle a 12 to 15 damage a turn deck, which I think would be a classic aggro, 12 to 18 a turn, I'm curious what you're doing. Because if you're not blocking, that means you should have a 4-card hand, and if your 4-card hand isn't at least producing 12 to 15 back, that's a problem.
Here's what I would do with Blitz. I would create a new format. I'd call it Speed Constructed. You would have Classic Constructed, which is 40 health heroes and 60 card decks. And then you have Speed Constructed, which is 40 card decks and the same heroes, but you half their health to start. It's the same thing. So there doesn't need to be a split in the format as it is, right? So then you make Blitz something different. You make Blitz the commoner pauper style format, or you make it where you can only have one of any card in your deck, so it's more very like a commander style deck building challenge. Anything like that, I just think, all right, like if Benji and Kaio, and if this is what you want in the game, make them 40 health, and then have a format where they play at half and they play at full. Yeah. And then everything gets varied and interesting, and there's so many options for players to try out. I'll
say this. The podcast that's going up this week is really important for what I'm about to say. But the reality of, if you have a group of friends playing Blitz and you guys are all, it's kind of like our throwbacks. If you're agreeing to play at the same quality, the same range, and you're not getting OTK'd off the board and you're just kind of having a good time, and it's 20, 30-minute games of people just playing, whatever, and you enjoy it, more awesome. That's great. But my personal interest in going to a tournament where I know people are going to inherently be playing whatever they think gives them the best shot to win, that's just not an enjoyable experience for me. So I have nothing against Blitz as a format in general if people enjoy it and that's what they want to do, and that's how you like.
But it's just CC.
Yeah,
it's just CC at half health. That's what I keep coming back to. It's just CC at half health. The game is not different. It's just less health. There, barring the fact that some heroes can only play at half health. Like if you think about it like that, right? It's like we have a great number of heroes. Some of them can be at 40 health, and some can only be at 20. Like that's all the format is. So, as a systems person, I just think we could have a better variation in formats. In fact, having 2 or 3 more formats could actually be pretty beneficial. Yeah,
I love formats, and seemingly there's a lot of people that actually like Blitz.
Oh yeah, tons of people like Blitz,
which I have no issue with at all.
I just think we should call it Speed Constructed. SC. CC and SC.
SC.
Evens odds?
Sure.
That's you.
All right, well, I'll go first, I guess.
Don't you build any rune chants?
I'm going to. It's just right there on the box. Let's...
What's up, by Hank Jr.? Hey, it's good. I've seen your YouTube comments coming through. It's really cool.
Pay 2. Can you? You have tokens over there. Can you give me a 1, 2, 3?
Heroic, yeah, it's less health, so much more different heroes. But you could make those heroes 40 health heroes. That's the thing. That's it. That is a artificial limitation.
I think not to keep beating the horse to death again. The other part is heroes that can have 15, 20 damage turns just means that by you did this to me with KO and also Rhinar earlier.
I did.
At 20 health, there's actually just so many openings going first or going second that immediately put you in a position where you have no choice but to block.
For the rest of the game, yeah.
And then you actually never... Actually, way worse than me is then turn 1 you killed me. At least then I get an extended break and I can go get a snack or something. Is 5 or 6 turns in a row where all I'm doing is blocking and then I lose.
Sure. All right, what do you got?
Okay.
Let's play some CC.
I'm paying 2. Can you hand me some resource tokens and armor and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Hey, in the Hong Kong finals, I'll have you know, our tokens were being used.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Who was using them? Was it Bun?
It was not Bun.
Oh,
it
man.
was...
Devastating to the Bun name.
Who played in the Hong Kong finals? It was Bun. Bun's is sort of memorable because it's Zach's name for me. James, or playing Oldham. Played a great Oldham game also. Just a phenomenal
Oldham versus who?
Game. Oldham versus Chain.
Okay. I will watch. I'm going to use my Grasp of the Arcanite to create an enchant. And then... I will... Arsenal Pass.
All right. That was a great opening for me.
Yeah, it could have been...
That could have been way worse.
So much worse.
All right, Tunic up. Let's get our scalers.
No arcane barrier. Just asking for a friend.
No, I probably shouldn't. No, let's see if we need it, because it always doesn't matter. Slice and dice yellow. You know what else I'm gonna do? I really wish everybody would play the card and then pay for it.
Is that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah. Do you know that?
I kind of knew it, yeah.
I'll announce spoils of war, then pay the cost.
All right, I like it. What's the name of the channel you always reference for following the book?
Fabrica?
There it is.
Yeah. Fabrica. And then this is an example I want to talk about. So Dawn Blade at 6 with Go Again. So this is one of those weird Dorinthea situations. Second attack will come in at 5 for your math. It's 6, but there's 1 card in hand and 1 floating resource. So standard Dorinthea, it's do you have to honor the 9 here? But if they've got to have a 0 for 3 in hand, like the Ironsong, for it to matter.
Yeah. I'm gonna block 6.
Perfect.
And I'm gonna play I am just playing in Dory.
Sure. I mean, play it like it was in a tournament, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, if I know you're very light on reactions,
sure,
I play fundamentally differently.
Definitely.
And I might figure that out by turn 6.
Yeah.
But you have to be watching what you're pitching. I see that. Anyways, just
there's some in there. There are some in there.
All right, block 6.
Great, you did it. I'm gonna go to the end phase.
You got it.
Pass here. So this is an example where I got 1 floating with Go Again active, and this is where bingo for 5.
Mm-hmm.
How bad would that be for you right now?
You'd have a 50-50 shot.
Well, you choose. It's not random.
I should have to show you a card?
You just reveal a card. Yeah, you choose the card to reveal.
It's not random.
You wish it was random.
Really?
Yeah, you wish it was random.
It would be not that bad.
Which is 5 damage, right? That I would otherwise, rather than an arsenal card. Yeah. So that's a question.
All right, I'm going to keep my turn simple. We're just going to play a red Runeblood Incantation. Daily Cats. I'm going to pass it back to you. Look at me. I have not even attacked you.
Cats.
But we will.
Tunica. Okay.
Card salad saying, I wish Bingo created a quicken token rather than getting go again.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
It'd be so good. All right, let's go Blue Warrior's Valor. We're going to pitch the heart. I didn't strategically take any damage. Play a Sharpened Steel on top. And then Dawnblade for 7. Conditional go again.
Unhidden.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Block this?
Well, it's the first time I've ever seen you block anything, so it's progress as far as I can tell.
Yeah. I had a potato red hand. You don't have Arcane Barrier. It's notable.
I mean, okay, let's do it. What do I have? 1 hood?
So the reason is like I'm on meet and greet.
Sure.
So that gets very simple.
I'll have it. I'll have the hood.
I have a rune chant.
As you normally do.
These things have go again.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I would like it, the devastating turn that could have just befallen you. Let's see how this goes. I'll take it. Take 7.
All right. I guess I won't even need to close it. Swing for 3. Token threat. In fact, I think here, I think it's Brave Forge. Yeah. So it's Brave Forge and then swing. So coming at you for 4.
That is a different number.
Yeah.
Well,
Cardboard, we did not put twinning in the deck. We did not.
you have 1 card.
Yep.
Arsenal. Let's block for 4.
Boom. Look at that shatter. It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, I knew you couldn't get me with it on that particular exchange.
You got a skeleton turn already.
It goes quick. Create a rune chant, start my turn from incantation. No, I don't. I just don't want to give you a counter. But, I mean, hypothetically, I could. I'm 1 card off from having it. From a real smokestack here. All right, let's go blue mauve. You know the one. Red meet and greet. So it would have been delightful not to have a mauve in this, but I can't count on that. So two rune chants pop. 1 gets created. Then you got a 4 damage attack coming at you with Gogan. If it hits, I'll create 2 rune chants. 1 from meet and greet, 1 from blue mauve skies. 2 resources floating. What could possibly go wrong?
It does currently have go again.
I Hank Jr. asking, is the beginning of the stream deck building? More like the middle of the stream. Beginning was
A hilarious tale.
a tale of my fab competitive life.
Yeah, so this is quite interesting. You already have the go again from meet and greet, or from Mauve, right? Yeah. So that won't matter. All right, we'll take 2 arcane.
Double go again.
And then we'll go Dynamo. This is a great question. 2, 3, 4. I'll block 4 there. Prevent 2 ruin chance.
Okay, seems good. You think about this. Yeah. We'll go Revel and Runeblood. Create 5 rune chants. Swing a sword. 6 arcane, 2 arcane, 2 physical.
6/2/2. We will be taking.
Ian Shake, for the beginning of this Covenant stream is by far the best segment of Covenant streams ever. What up, Ian?
We'll take 10 there.
Yeah. Arson Press.
All right, we'll do Valor yellow. And then Supremacy. And then Dawnblade for 7. Go again, draw a card if it hits. And of course, activate my instant. Tunic.
Well, that's a good time for that to happen for you. That is interesting.
Block with that skeleton or skelata, as can be said.
It is kind of a problem.
It's good. I think it's a good example of like, because when I'm playing axes, you never have to think about blocking.
I'm having to think every turn now.
Yeah. Which is at least a good starting point. Whether or not you can get anywhere.
So the problem here is I have 2 Sonatas in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And if I block with them, that's a bummer.
Yeah, you don't want to lose both of those.
But also, if I let this hit, you're going to get another swing at 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm inclined to not let it hit if possible. But if you have a 1 for 3 react, you can tunic, get the 3, do the damage, get the card, swing the sword, get the token anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to block 7.
Your hat's currently blocking for 0.
Oh, because I'm a different life.
Yeah. But if this were a tournament, I would love
be
for you to do
bamboozled.
that. I've had that happen to me many times.
That is one of the advantages in a tournament. You have to write it down.
Yeah.
I always know what my opponent's health is at a tournament.
Yeah.
In my head, though, you were like way far ahead of me. Not true.
It's not true.
How much can I go in the paint?
See, I've never, it's just the only thing that I'm evaluating right now on the dark horse math is the fact that you're having to like sweat, even at all. Like not like even the idea of sweating.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in probably a good 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, because you swing an axe for 2. It's like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Swing an axe for 3. It's like, I guess I'll take that too.
Yeah, whatever. 5
3.
damage.
I mean, any card in my hand is worth more than 3. All right, I'm just going to take 7. We'll see how this goes.
Okay. Taking 7.
My hat's back on.
Hat's on. So I'm going to trigger Steel Blade Supremacy to draw a card.
Yeah. I have one rule against Dory Dawnblade, and that's cover up Supremacy.
Whereas if I was going to give me go again, and Dawnblade's going to come, well, it doesn't come
Trigger
back
Dory.
home. It's still on the thing. Yeah, trigger Dory here. Now we got a real question. Used to be a real... So see, and you not blocking that, you're just like, okay, so we get that you have the goods.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is I have literally all 2 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's exactly what we're playing into here.
The cards are like, could be high value, I guess. But I can't, I could pitch my whole hand or also lose more armor. I'm pretty sure I can just cover up the 4 if you come back with 4 with the Dawnblade here. Or 5.
The 5, yeah.
Yeah.
That's grasping a card,
I get the hat back too. Because I have 2 blocks. That's the problem.
Yeah. Okay. But so for me, what's interesting here for me is I can push damage or I can play
Hubu. I wrote
Smarter.
coworkers into Trine Fab. Played our first games and we had a blast. I'm going to go hard with Dory, Dash, and maybe Katsu. Thanks all for such amazing Fab content. So happy to hear that we helped you get into this thing.
So what you could do here, so just as an example, I'll just give you my hand here. You could go Enlighten for 5 and then swing for 5 again with Dawnblade. So you could push Enlighten damage here, which is acceptable. But you really want Enlighten for 7 out of Arsenal off of a 1-card hand. That's really what you're here for, Enlighten Strike. Or 5 and draw. You could also play Steel Blade to go to 7 on the second swing, and then pitch, swing 7 on the second.
Mm-hmm.
Draw 2 cards, Arsenal 1, and sit. Because 7's obviously an awkward number for you at this point.
Yeah, I think I would have to block out the 7.
Yeah, you have to, right?
I don't know what math that puts in your head.
Yeah.
But blocking out 7 stops the token, stops the Arsenal. So, like...
You could also pitch, swing with the Enlightened Strike, save your Tunic, and put the Supremacy back in to have a Tunic Supremacy turn again. Which is pretty good. And I think Supremacy and Arsenal, if I'm holding onto the Tunic, is better than Enlightened and Arsenal. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to swing Dawnblade for 5.
Tasty.
But it's kind of like you have to decide if you're gonna, because I think you have to deny the token. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at on this train. Block 5.
Yeah. And then I'll send that.
I get a couple more armor tokens from me.
And I didn't see in my head even going to 6 there off of the Brave Forge doesn't really make sense because in my head you're blocking with 3 blocks. I didn't know that you only had 2 blocks.
I think I just need one more.
Did I put them?
I have a bunch at home.
Yeah, maybe that's where they all ended up.
I mean, I can just use one of these.
Okay, solid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good turn.
Yeah.
I like this way more.
Let me plug in this phone as you think about it. You know what you're doing?
I know what I'm doing. Yeah. This one was written in the stars.
The keeper of the stars. Okay.
All right.
My hand.
Ready for the bun special?
Yeah.
Daily value meal. Sonata, pain 2. And you know what it is. Hits for 2.
2 arcane, sure.
Taking 2?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oof.
Yeah? Right, Robert. Something interesting about TC having a lack of TC tokens.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
So you
Where
took
did they all go? I took them to that tournament and then I think they got lost. Are they just in my... Oh, where's my dice? Where's my brick of dice?
the blue one?
Brick of dice?
Ah, there we go. We have plenty.
Look, here's your marketing. Look at that.
It's
I
right
took
there in
that
the
to the
box.
tournament there. We did that on purpose.
It was so perfectly made that you forgot they were there.
I forgot they were there. Fits just like a glove.
Okay. This really do check out though. I'll do that.
Can you do 26? Because like a lot of times you can. I hate it.
Why? We love it.
We don't.
We
love
love
it.
the stock.
We do not love that. There's nothing about that we love.
Yeah, I know. I wish it were different, you know?
I don't think you do.
Not at all. I mean, 0%. It's crazy how much I don't wish it were different. All right, I got some weird lines cooking. Hold on. If I do that, then do that. Is that true?
Still discovering Viscera lines.
Well, they just keep giving you new, interesting things. Page.
Yeah, I feel like the Runeblade cards that get printed are better than the other ones. I don't know. It's kind of a weird phenomenon. But if you have magic and swords, I mean, obviously you're going to be the best. We've learned that. I've got magic and swords.
That's right. Always. It's always the case. Okay. I will pay 1 for a Drawn to the Dark Dimension.
Get that blue Drawn to the Dark out of here, man. That card.
1 pops, 1 gets
on.
created, and then you got 1 physical coming at you. And I draw a card.
1 pops, 1 gets created.
Mm-hmm.
How much damage are you doing total this turn?
Just 2 at the moment. I did 2 Arcana, but I'm doing 2 now.
So far. Okay, there we go. I gotta catch back up with chat. My phone died, chat. Sorry. Alright, so 1, I've already taken arcane damage this turn.
Yep.
And any hit effect, there's no hit effect on this guy. So we're going to take them both.
Okay. Doesn't have go again.
Your arcane triggers are already happening. So.
Presently.
Yeah.
I'll pay 2 for Rattlebones as an instant. Create a rune chant. This is where there's decisions. I'm gonna get a Amplify. And then I'll just pay 1, play Amplify, 2 pop, 1 gets created.
No cards in hand.
Nope.
And does have go again?
No. Just 6 damage and 2 arcane.
Okay. I'll take the 2. I'll not activate barrier.
Nope.
And 6.
Get it out of here.
You have nothing else? That was it. It's not even a skeleton turn though. 1, 2. Okay, I like this. Take 6. You got no cards in hand.
The Sonata hits were not any of the attacks I was hoping to see.
Yeah.
But that do happen.
Alright, I'm gonna block 4.
Take 2?
Yeah, and I believe certain things. I'll see if that was correct. Okay. So we're going to do Ironsong. So dominate and +1 here. We're going to do a Warrior's Valor for +2. 1, 2 floating there. We're going to do a Supremacy. And then we're going to swing. Coming in at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, dominate. Draw a card and go again on hit.
Take it.
Okay.
Didn't have to think about it.
Draw a card. Got to go again on hit. Save the tunic. Tunic is better than +1 damage. Okay. Brave Forge Bracers. We'll close the chain, but I'll keep these here so we remember. 2 floating. And then swing 1 for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
With dominate.
With dominate and on hit, yeah.
Takes it.
Okay. And then I will arsenal here.
Pretty good.
Gain my sweet, sweet hard-earned token.
Start my turn, critter enchant. And you also get to clear the old boots, eh?
I do.
Don't like that.
3 values so far. Or soon to be, I guess, when I block again. Or if I'm alive.
Let's
I like you being on his 4-card hand though, let me tell you. You look over at your opponent on 4, it's like, whew.
Let's go Sonata, paying 2.
Yeah. We need a whiff here. Okay, that was good for me, yeah.
1 arcane.
One arcane and swarming. If you've done auras, you get +1 and then go again and then...
Let's go again, +1, then the hit effect.
Yeah. You can't help but create an aura when you play it because of this, right?
Yeah, it's going to have go again if I play
so it's always go again. +1 if you've done 2, yeah. I'm not blocking that arcane.
Okay. Smart.
Is it?
Ish. Let's play another Runeblood Incantation.
Okay.
It's going to create a rune chant from this. It comes in with 3 tokens on it. It is an aura, so I've now done 3 auras.
Yeah.
Or I've done 2 auras.
I can't block it even if I wanted to at this next point.
Swarming gets played, 3 pop. 1 gets created. It's coming in for 4 with go again, and if it hits, arcane damage is unblockable.
3 are popping now. So I'm looking at 11. I haven't popped the skeleton yet. I mean, I don't think you're gonna spend that card on a sword swing. Yeah, you should though. But you go into the 4 card next turn. You better watch out, boy. I'll take 3. 4 coming at me. I got it.
Yeah, Arsenal points.
Okay, I was right.
Yeah. He's feeling good.
Sharpen. Sharpen. Spoils. Dawnblade. Coming at you.
That's the scaling card you're talking about.
Coming at you for 12. With go again.
Well, it looks like lethal to me.
Yeah, that's why I really don't want to block.
Oh, don't you know? That's an overpower if I've ever seen one. Come on, no?
Well, that'd be great. It actually isn't, but it would be great.
That's a problem.
Twin Blues is enough if you draw them in the perfect order.
I like it.
Have you considered that before?
Yeah, you coming for 12? Huh.
Yeah.
It's a lot of heat.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels good to be on this side of it. I've only got 1 floating.
Then the next one's be coming in for 4.
Next will be coming in for 4, yes. Barring shenanigans, of course. Could, like, Tunic, Brave Forge, swing for 5.
Yeah, that's fine. Block 3.
Okay. Okay. Wait, you're at 12. Okay.
Good under 2?
Yeah.
It's not a good place to be.
No. We will swing again for 4. Make some copper, of course, and all that. But.
Yeah. I'll block for 4.
Okay. I'm gonna Tunic out for blood for +1. Blue. Go to 5.
Ooh, take 1.
All right. Get a token.
Nice.
That's like I couldn't decide if out for blood on the first attack +1 to Dawnblade naturally is better. It's 1 more damage across the game, but you have to block the 5 in that case. So it kind of telegraphs that. I think I win a token off of that exchange. I don't know.
Yeah. Scan token or a enchant. You're at 12. Asking first, man.
I'm at 12. That's right. Yeah. Think of a better name, says the Visceray player. It kind of sounds like Adam Sandler. You sound like Adam Sandler?
Me?
Can you say little Nicky?
Little Nicky?
Or whatever Adam Sandler says? I forget. What's a good quote from Happy Gilmore?
Is he talking about me?
I think so. You're the Visceray player, aren't you?
No way. I sound like Adam Sandler?
Apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm surprised as well.
How about do that? That. No, it doesn't work. Marvin? Yellow?
Classic.
We'll go Spellblade Assault. 2 pop. 3 get created.
Mm-hmm.
If it hits, create 2 more.
It can't hit.
You know.
Okay. 2 arcane.
Yep.
Honored. And then reactions, I'll sync this.
Okay. Swing the sword for 7. Five arcane, 2 physical.
Mm-hmm. Coming in with 4 cards, you'll have 2 block if needed.
Downblade to 5 is pretty sweet.
That's good. That's good. All right, yeah, we got 5 arcane, and then we'll do boots on one of those.
This should have gone away. Take one.
Take one. Yeah.
Over to you. Glorious.
Let's do Red Warrior's Valor, Dawnblade for 8 with conditional go again.
Block 8.
You got it. I'll activate the tune.
My boots. Woof.
Arsenal that.
Alright. Scanner enchant. Arsenal pass.
Okay. Interesting. Tunic. Yeah, okay. A lot of ways that could go. A lot of ways. Let's do it like this. Let's do Spoils of War. And then Dawnblade 5 with go again.
Straight up. Block 6. Find this out, Mordred.
You got it. I'm gonna pitch to CNC.
CNC. Block 6.
You got it. You got the 3 blocks, huh?
That time. That time. Greater enchant. Let me think about my life. Yeah, I'll just pass.
Okay. Tunica.
Yeah, I think the first couple of turns were not favorable for old Bissy.
That's the way we like it.
Yep. That's good to see, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Steel Blade Supremacy and the hit effect of Dawnblade is, like, notable.
Yeah.
It actually makes you want to block.
Yeah. We got there.
Country road.
All right, let's do... let's make sure this is right. Do you have to block that all? I mean, you do have to block that, but we need to make that as bad for you as we can. Which is not the easiest thing to do. I guess the only things I could draw into... We get 2 out of hand and probably lose. It's not ideal.
Devastating. Devastating. I thought you were going to get it.
Yeah, this is the all blue hand. That you always got to see about this time.
Too many blues.
Yeah, let's cut 3 of them and it would be the perfect hand. So then it's about survival.
Marcus says, I love how this is the first game for this playtest and Zach is just dumping hands to Dawnblade.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, that's a really good sign. It's not. Obviously, it's not.
I remember when Bryce came up to you after a ProQuest round and told you he'd beat Prism with Dawnblade Dory, and you were just like, wait a second.
How is that possible? Okay. Let's play a blue slice and dice. And then You could block with Skeleton is like the only thing left over there, and nobody wants to do that. Swing Dawnblade for 4.
No go again?
No.
I do this and you draw a card. Cards in hand. Could be bad. You said 4?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do hate that.
It is all blue, but there are some attack reactions in there too.
Yeah,
you know, so.
yeah. No, it can still get the job done. I think it's my best out. I'll block for 8.
8.
Mm-hmm.
8 to 4.
Margaret says you've reinvigorated the Dawnblade believer in me.
I would react with Glint just to see what happens. Go again, etc.
Get that overpower, dude. Clinch it.
Exactly.
Clinch the game. You gotta play to your outs, man.
I won't. So barring anything else to do, I'll just arsenal this and pass.
Yeah. We were on the verge of greatness.
We were. Determination is in. There's 2 more in here somewhere.
They're just dominate. So
yeah, they're coming. You better watch out.
All right, mine.
Yeah.
Go running into him.
I need to be running that.
So I put it in Arsenal several turns ago. I almost just played it to draw a card and put the other card in Arsenal. But this is why you don't do that. Bloodshed Skeleton. I'm going to play Rattlebones for free.
Mm-hmm.
Creates a rune chant. And then I can banish an attack here. Country road. We're going to get a Gloom Veil.
You're my one and only.
I'm going to play a Gloom Veil. 3 pop, 1 gets created. I've created 2 this round. So it's a 4 damage attack, no hit effect.
No go again.
It
No
doesn't
boots.
go again.
It does have go
Just
again.
built in.
From itself.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Go again and +1.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you pitch? You gotta pitch for the sword here, right? Must pitch for sword.
Perhaps.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay. We're gonna block 3.
Mm-hmm.
The blue there, and then we're gonna play a sink below on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna sink this here.
Oh. We'll try it. Swing the sword. 5 damage coming at you.
Going back in with 4. It's acceptable, I reckon. Okay. I really don't want to be at 1 health. But sadly, this is the cards we have. We just have to accept that.
I mean, you got those gloves still, man.
I'll be blocking the 2 for sure, but I'd have to take 3 arcane.
Don't use the tunic.
No, I don't. I will take 3 arcane and I'll block with the gloves.
Nope, don't. I need that money.
I really don't. It's like, this is why Alex hates this card, and I agree. In this particular case, it's very bad. It's not terrible because you're gonna be on a 2 card, but like, it's not good. So Tunic, Flock, showing you Nature's Path, Quicken, 5 coming at you. Got stuck on a bad arsenal cycle there. You said this is 2-card hands are bad, so let's see if you're right.
I mean, when you're at 1, it's easier for them not to be terrible.
That's true. Can I swing the sword?
1, 2, 3.
Hey, yeah, Brad is good. It's a good one. It's where all the in-game theory comes into the party.
Okie dokie. Block 6.
You got it. But now you won't have any money.
Who needs money? Alright, I'm going to pay 2, create a rune chant with my gloves.
Marcus, Flock is great in Doriaxes. So good.
Create a rune chant, swing the sword. 1 arcane, 2 physical coming in.
Alright, I can't block that, right? It's 2 all at once?
I didn't play.
Oh, you didn't do the thing.
It's actually, this is the point, right? That's what I would say about Thorn. It's like, you still have to have, it's like a 3-card hand to get it to actually do what it's doing.
Yeah, so I'll block the 1, and then I'll block the 2, Tunic and Brave Forge.
Okay. Arsenal pass.
Yeah. And then we'll go +1 dominate, +3,
no.
+2.
Come on.
Swing.
Come
dominate.
on. He gets the dub on game 1.
Wolfpack attack. Ooh.
That's right. You can. Your invite is officially extended.
Yeah, and it Quicken pops too. So let's go.
So,
I mean, that's the thing is like it's better. It's just better. It's better. You have to have threats like this.
Yeah, and I think and
you have to get quite a bit lucky.
But I always say it. I literally always say it. You have to be really good. You have to be very well prepared, and you have to get a little lucky, especially to win big events. But the thing about your deck is like there are hands that allow you to be lucky.
Yeah, you got to give yourself a shot.
That's part of it, and you have the big swings and stuff. And like I feel like I didn't see a Mordred until you were forcing me to block or become the Arc Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And the deck is way slower when you're not seeing those cards.
Yeah.
And then you also, I had the weird, and it happens, but you're forcing me to block, right? I had the weird hand that was all 9 attacks, and it was 2 Sonatas.
Yeah. It was a good time to hit a Bugatti.
That's what I was saying. It's like, this is actually, but most people, right, most decks, if your deck is just threatening damage, like strictly, no like extra card draw, no tokens on the sword, that's a really easy turn to be like, I'll take 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so easy. But yeah. You can't just, if you're going to only threaten, this is the brute problem. If you're going to only threaten damage, you have to be threatening so much damage. This is the Bolton problem too.
That's what Visceray does, right?
Yeah.
He's not really threatening, like if you look at the hit effects, he threatens more damage. It's the Mauvrians.
That's right. It's just tons of hard to block pockets of damage. Mm-hmm. That's what he really does at various breakpoints. All right, well, so first test, Dory.
Good test.
So, and this is a Dory list that has no red attack reactions in it. It's not playing Reprise. It's assuming this is a meta where people aren't blocking. Starvo doesn't want to block. Vis doesn't want to block.
Yeah.
The Ruin Blades, none of them want to block. Briar can do an okay job of it. Which that's where on your sideboard, maybe you come in with a red Ironsong response in certain matchups or something. But what it is able to do is kind of consistently, at least in this game, is able to consistently put out a decent enough threat that you were struggling to make an obvious decision, which is the first step in this might have some legs. Can we start squeezing value into this deck and see where we get ultimately? Dynamo versus Bolter is a great question. I mean, there was one hand I didn't have go again, but you blocked it anyway, so the sword was dead. I got 3 blocks out of it that game. So
looking at your health, it's
3 armor versus 1 armor in the go again. I think that's also worth testing more.
Did the boots you have to hit to trigger it?
Yeah. And even if you didn't, I mean, you can't swing Dawnblade unless it hits a second time.
And that's
you could come in with like a flock or something.
I remember one of the greatest advantages with the bolters is the threat of the bolters.
Yeah.
So
like snaps.
Yeah. It's just sitting there. Yeah. Well, it's like if I know you have to hit to get it, looking at your hand, it's like, well, you play differently when you know that's sitting there. But then them playing differently a lot of times lets you get away with stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think both of them are quite valid. And it might be both are in the sideboard, and you have to figure out if I'm racing, I've got to go bolters. Makes sense. And if I'm looking at like a sluggy, I need to block Winter's Wail for the next 20 turns, Dynamo does a lot of good work there. But you also assume you're not going to recharge Dynamo a lot in a control matchup because your first sword just isn't going to hit.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen where the value is on that. But
interesting.
It's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, that'll be fun to test. And, the whole world might be different next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens to Starvo. It's crazy. All right, first test, a success. I think next time we can come back. We can either keep Dory going. Well, we'll see where Starvo ends up. We can keep Dory going into Prism, which should be her hardest match by far.
I mean, if Starvo goes out, I think Prism is less popular.
Okay, that's good.
Which I think it's better for Dory.
Yeah, that does get better.
Plus, you're going to get new cards in that starter, potentially.
Yeah, that new one's pretty good. It's a good little card. Plays more into the reprise strategy, which is strong. That needs to be happening. It's a bigger hand card, which right now, like if you're looking at that card in a Starvo meta, it's not impressive. But in a general sense, it has some play.
Yeah.
And then we got new Brute cards coming too. And so I think we need to test Brute as well.
That's actually really a good point. You're going to get cards, potentially new cards for both the classes. The two classes you're most excited about.
You think it's just the specializations and the new weapons and heroes, or are there going to be like common cards that you can only get through that box?
It's a really interesting product to me.
That's been the word the whole time from everybody. Is like, we don't really know what...
A really good 2-player starter that's thematic and has a lore book and has 2 characters in it, I think is a great product. But like, even I was talking in the Discord earlier about, okay, we've seen these spoiled specializations that are seemingly not Blitz cards. They're very much, because the Blitz decks come in the start or whatever. But then I was sitting there, I was like, well, do I technically need 1.5 starters to get a playset of 3 of each of these cards? Like the specialization? If it's a Blitz deck, it's not going to come in more than 2. It's like, well, okay, that's interesting, because like, is your 2-player starter for your current player base?
Yeah.
And I do get...
You don't want to do the old FFG shuffle, man.
If you can make a starter that your current player base wants to buy and also new players want to buy and you make a lot of it, that's a way to make it a viable thing to print. Is that you're not just... Because right now, right?
Dude, that's always the devil's gamble on these products.
Yeah, but the problem is if it's too good and players need 1.5 of them to get playsets, new players aren't going to get these cards.
Yeah,
because they're not like aggressively looking out for it.
Yeah,
everyone that currently plays and follows is like signing up. Like we have pre-orders on the site. They're the ones ordering the pre-order. It's 3 months from now and we're just streaming. It's like, oh yeah, what do I buy to start? It's like, this is the product to buy.
Yeah.
So that product needs to be in stock. So I don't know.
Because it is for new players, right? Is that expressly the idea?
Seems like it's meant that way. We can have James on the podcast.
Yeah,
but like.
But then if it's like heavily
what am I going to do? Not have a
allocated,
playset of those cards?
Yeah, right.
And we know this at least the supply to us is not robust.
It's not robust.
So like,
and we can do what? Man, you can't do the 1.5 dance. Like we've seen that core set strategy before.
Yeah. Now 1.5 at least means that, like, if I know, like me and my brother are both wanting a playset, like technically one of us can buy 2, one of us can buy 1, and we can figure that out. And I do the thing all the time where I take all my extra commons and rares and majestics from a set. And anyone that I happen to run into looking to try the game, I just send them a big box of cards. So technically, those decks, like once I have the cards that I want out of them, are like most of the way to a playable deck that I could just give to someone. But at the same time, it's just an odd interaction.
It is an odd product.
You almost like the Irate deck is a great example of.
It's so good.
Just a free deck that lets you learn the game and play it and understand it. So I get it though. Like, can you actually print this product if none of your current player base would buy it? Like, if it was just all old cards?
I mean, you got to believe it. I mean, you have to. Otherwise, why are you making a starter product, right?
Yeah. In my mind, with a starter, the answer would have to be yes. And the starter's like a loss leader. It's like a console for a video game.
Yeah.
I would make it as cheap as I could make it, and I would make it as widely available as I could make it, on the belief that if someone tries this game, they're going to want to get in.
Yeah. So my take on that box has always also been, though, that we've had this conversation with LCGs a lot about how much does price point dictate buy-in. And if you're actually saying to like a new player, hey, you know you can get your $10 deck of whatever over here and like a little deck and unwrap it and kind of see what the game's about. But what you're getting involved in is like a high quality, super tailored, like artisanal TCG experience. Like, it's going to be nice through and through.
Yeah, I mean, it's got cold foil weapons.
You're going to get cold foils. You're going to get a lore book. So when you get into Flesh and Blood like that, it's like, oh, like that to me then becomes a very strong competitive differentiator between you and Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance. Where it's like, yeah, it costs more, but like when I open this thing up and it's like I can read about this battle and I got these heroes, these beautiful cards, I can't get that in another starter product. So if they lean into that, I think that works too.
Yeah.
But your point about if they're all bought up by current players, and if current players are stretched to have to buy two, the old X-Wing problem, the old core set FFG problem, that just leads to people being like, I don't feel happy buying this product.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to. And anytime players feel like they have to buy a product,
now
that's not great.
To be fair, it's only really a have to if you're a brute or a warrior player.
Yeah, it's true.
So, like, I know a ton of people that...
Or a collector, though. I mean, collectors want it all.
Totally. Yeah. But they're... Yeah. So, there's a lot of players that I know that probably won't be that interested.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the lore book being in there, and this is the first time you can get a lore book that's not the super fancy limited edition lore book that was sent to retailers.
Yeah.
That's the other kind of, reality here. Is like, I think people are hungry for lore books, like very hungry, and they have been from the very beginning. And so, like, even if all the cards in there were just cards we already had, but there was a lore book, that would be mildly...
It's still interesting, right? Like, give the cards to like a friend, to try this out.
Now,
keep the lore book.
Again, Legend Story at every turn, it always surprises me in good ways. So, as an example of what you could do,
3 of everything.
Hypothetically. Well, sure.
That's all.
Maybe the prize kit, the month these are coming out, has those Majestics in it as cold foil things. So you give ways for players to get even the lore book, right? It's like you could technically make I don't know if they're doing this or not. You can make a lore book independently available.
Sure.
And so that way players can get the stuff, and collectors, it's like, well, you can either buy the starter that just how many of those are going to get printed. But there's also like the local armory thing. So there's ways to, we just don't know yet, give access to that stuff that's also not just buy up all the starters.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as existing players only need one starter to get their full collection, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think the moment that it's 1 or 2 of certain cards, it's like, I'd rather it not have been that. So we'll see.
We're about to find out.
So we got the announcement on the 5th, next Tuesday. So join us for the announcement next Tuesday, or at least the potential for an announcement next Tuesday. We don't exactly know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It could have not happened by the time we're streaming. And then we also get to see what's in this Classic Battles box, which we still just don't have information on.
Yeah.
It's exciting times, man. I love this game.
Yeah, me too. And we'll, like I've been saying a couple times today,
incredible.
We're going to be having James on the podcast soon. Very much looking forward to that. We'll ask him some of these questions.
And a genuine rivalry with Arsenal. I didn't see that coming.
It's a classic heel turn, and I don't know who the heel is yet. I'm comfortable being the heel.
Because I quite enjoy both of those guys.
Yeah.
Brendan and Hayden.
Yeah. But now I'll enjoy the rivalry.
Yeah, now I enjoy that you guys are having like a nice dramatic battle, and I get to kind of be on the sidelines.
I'm excited to watch.
Yeah.
I'm excited to participate in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also very excited about the people I'm playing with.
You think you come out the other side and it like turns into like a mutual, enjoyment? Like you guys both play into it?
I don't know. I haven't thought much about it outside.
So funny.
I have 6 weeks to a pro tour, and I was planning on practicing, preparing. And then me and a couple others were sent packing in the raft boat, So we thought we were on the cruise liner, and then we're going to the floaty device.
So good.
So we'll see you when we get to New York, you know.
Well, dang. I mean, it would be
watch out for icebergs.
It would be a sweetheart story, wouldn't it? You know, get essentially like, you know, we're done. We don't need this. We're gonna go test with our own group.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, but you did. And then it's like finals. You and Hayden.
That would be too much of a good story.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Too much?
Yeah, it could also be like round 1 and I get dunked on.
Yeah.
Which is fine too. But we're about to find out. I didn't need more gas in the tank, but man, am I full. I'm ready to roll.
I absolutely love it. All right, well, hey, thank you for watching, everybody. Don't forget, if you want first edition booster boxes, we've got the best offering on that, by far.
Our subscription.
MSRP, we've never put those boxes over MSRP. We never will put those boxes over MSRP. I mean, unless like it would have to be a level of insanity. We've made an internal agreement that it's like we're not into pricing things in times of need. Need is kind of in times where supply is constrained.
When the market spikes,
we're not looking to move boxes at $500 or whatever. So we're not looking to cancel pre-orders, etc. MSRP subscription, it's not a Patreon. There's somebody talking who knows what in that random Fab Discord about things they had no idea about. The subscription is not Patreon style. You don't pay a monthly fee. There's nothing weird or insidious about it. It's effectively, hey, here's my credit card. Every time a new Fab set comes out, I want first edition booster boxes at $96, which is MSRP. I want a copy of the promo card that only you guys get with every one of those booster boxes, and I want you to charge me 2 to 3 weeks before that happens and get them on my doorstep about on release day. That's the whole system. If that sounds interesting to you, you can sign up. Go to our website.
And worth mentioning, too, we are expecting some sort of... James did an interview like a month or 2 back saying not 100% happy with first edition Unlimited model and plan on making a big announcement on how that's going to be going forward. So we'll be following that, and like I know a bunch of you are subscribed to the unlimited booster box subscription we have. That may well be going away, and we'll give everyone a heads up that's on that subscription when the time comes. But if you want to get in on the first ed sub and just have a spot, now is a pretty good time to do that.
Is it 99? Is MSRP of those 99?
It's close.
I can't remember. Most of this stuff's 96. What was 96? Was that Destiny?
Well, it used to be 95 or 96.
Oh, they raised because the packs. They raised the pack price. That's right. It is 99. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, sorry. Speaking wrongly about the offering. So check that out if you guys want any of that. And hey, we'll see you next week. Let's talk about some banned and restricted stuff. That's going to be crazy.
And I assume we're going to keep maybe checking out the Dory deck.
Yeah, I think we might work on a Dory deck a little bit. Take care, everyone.